Fan of billionaires. I think it's amoral. 888-710-4ISN. That's just a little about me. 888-710-4476. But enough about that. Let's talk about Duke. This collapse. I'll tell you what, at some point, Shire and Flagg and Knipple, like they'll move past this, but they're never going to get over it. It's one of the all-time collapses in NCAA tournament history. I can say sports history. I mean, this one's going to stay with Shire. And add on top of it, last year's loss to NC State was devastating. So he's got a couple now. He's collecting these bad losses, if you will. And it's going to be a thing until he finally wins. And by the way, this was probably the best team he's ever going to have, no?
Well, they're young, though. I mean, again, if he's going to change his philosophy, like he's Coach Cal 2.0, I think, in some ways.
Well, Cal did win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He will win at some point, but he's got to get either the right year where there aren't a lot of old teams against him. That's how I feel. Or he gets a little older himself. I mean, Cooper Flagg just turned 18.
I know. You
can't even look at it. He's a baby. We have no idea what he's even going to look like when he's an adult. I filled out when I was 19, 20. That guy could be much bigger.
That's crazy because he's a pretty big dude. 888-710-4ISN. Get it going with Duke. Duke choke. Or was this a Houston comeback? And how you feeling about the championship game tonight? Again, 888-710-4ISN. We've got a lot more for you. We've got our M&P 500, whose stock is up, whose stock is down after a gigantic weekend. We've got football news for you. We would never forget the NFL. And so much more. It is the Maggie and Perloff Show. Let us know, what did you think of that Duke choke? 888-710-4ISN. Let's go.
I'll jump on the players.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. Did Duke choke, we'll say the word, or was that Houston's dominant defense that did the trick? Side topic that it's going around a lot on social media, trying to figure out a player comp for my guy, Cooper Flagg. I keep saying Cooper Cup. Here's an article.
Cooper Cup is definitely not the comp.
The one that I'm seeing the most on the internet is Jason Tatum, which makes some sense. Seeing a little bit of Kawhi Leonard is getting a lot of love. EJ thinks Sean Marion. Here's one I like, Andre Kirilenko, because he's got the shot blocking. Because Cooper, that shot block, as badly as he played offensively in the last 10 minutes, that block shot was crazy. He really gets up on block shots. Grant Hill is one more. I'm not sure any of these fit. He's a unique prospect because he's so young. He's tall, but he can handle the ball. He has incredible core vision. His passing's amazing. And he's got this shot blocking ability. I think he doesn't. Scottie Pippen's another one, a little different. He's kind of in between about 8 different players. So
okay, so I'm sorry. Continue.
I think he's going to go number 1, but he doesn't remind me of any of these players.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, he's going to go number 1. We're putting the generational talent label on him, which, granted, we definitely overuse. But I do think like the shoe fits for this one. But think about all the guys you just named.
Yeah.
Outside of Tatum, and it didn't even end up being Tatum in this past championship that the Celtics won, Jaylen Brown ended up being the number 1 option. You didn't name any number 1 options on championship teams.
Yeah,
Andre Kirilenko, Sean Marion, even Pippen, who's a 50 greatest players of all time, was not the number 1 option. And when Jordan went to go play baseball, they couldn't win.
Well, so, I mean, who is the number 1 option? You're talking about LeBron and Michael Jordan knocked out everybody. There's very few guys who could guarantee are going to win a title. Like that doesn't happen in the NBA,
right? Like Tatum was like that was like
Tatum's part of a team,
like right there.
But you wouldn't say that Tatum is a singular player who is winning a title.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, and Jaylen Brown ends up winning Finals MVP, and it was really more Brown. But Tatum is awesome. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I'm just saying the promise of Cooper Flagg, the projection of Cooper Flagg would be, aren't you the number 1 option on a title contender?
Yeah, we could.
But you didn't name any guys who we would ever. Listen, Andre Kirilenko and Sean Marion, these guys had phenomenal careers, but they were not number 1 options on title teams.
Right. That first of all, I don't think he fits because he's way ahead of those guys offensively. I mean, again, he scored 27 points against Houston as an 18-year-old. A guy who turned 18. There's always Sean Marion or Andre Kirilenko were doing that. So I just think he's way ahead of these comps offensively, but there are things that remind you. Kawhi Leonard, he's got some Kawhi Leonard moves. Kawhi Leonard was number one.
That's true. Kawhi Leonard was the number one option on a championship team.
Yeah, he won a Finals MVP. So actually, a couple of these
Two
guys.
Finals MVPs, one with the Spurs, one with Toronto.
So I think you could squint. He's not when Shaq came in the NBA and everyone's like, this guy's going to win a title. No, he's not like that at all. But that doesn't mean he's not an awesome number one overall pick.
888-710-4ISN. A little curious, maybe, are people looking at Cooper Flagg a little bit differently after this game? Again, I'm not saying it was his fault they lost. It's not. It wasn't his fault that they lost. But at the same time, he also couldn't put the team on his back when they really needed it. And I'm not just talking about one missed shot. He made some free throws, but they all went ice cold. And I think it's either Duke got tight or Houston deserves a lot of credit for their defense, a combination of both.
But don't you think the NBA was watching that game and salivating at Cooper Flagg? Remember, he came into this tournament with a hurt ankle, and he played out of his mind, in my opinion. He had he had a couple moves on Saturday night. One where he drove down the lane and sort of cocked it behind him and dunked on three guys. That was incredible. Then he had this lefty hook shot from 8 feet away. Who does that at 18 years old? Nobody. Then he had a block in the last couple of minutes that reminded you, oh, wow, he is tall, too.
Yeah, no, he's
huge. He can handle the ball. He's a great passer. He's got... to me, one of the distinguishing thing about great players is court vision, and he's got incredible court vision. So he's the whole deal. I think if people are psyched. Then again, people were psyched when Zion Williamson was the number one pick, and he hasn't done anything.
Well,
so
but that's different. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
If he was healthy, I think he could be an impact player. But honestly, I think people are lining up to draft this kid. There's nothing they saw. I mean, come on, the number 2 pick is going to be Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey, and they didn't even make the tournament. Nobody cares about actual winning in college basketball. It's not even I don't even think it's even consideration for NBA.
You know what? It will be for one guy who I think has the most to gain tonight, which is Walter Clayton Jr. It will matter for him. It definitely will.
If he wins or loses, you think this affects his draft status?
I do. Or I guess more how he plays in the championship game. Like if he has 30 and they lose, I think it will still be a benefit for him.
Right.
But he's on this like Kemba, Shabazz Napier, like these individual runs, Melo, these guys who are these kind of, I'm not saying he's the only thing going on for Florida who's going to play Houston tonight, but he's a guy who I think Cooper Flagg, no, it didn't matter. He could have lost in the first round, and he still would have been the number one overall pick.
Yeah.
But for a guy like Walter Clayton Jr., who started his career at Iona, which is a small school in Westchester, New York, where Rick Pitino was coaching, and now to be like the main option on a team that won the SEC tournament and is playing for the national title, like the winning helps a guy like that. I think individually he has the absolute most to gain out of anyone on the floor tonight.
Yeah, I mean, but we know the NBA that they're not going to care. I mean, yeah, they'll care a little bit with this guy. He'll probably go from 25 to 18, but generally he's 22.
I think he could be a lottery pick if he plays well tonight. So inside the 14.
I think the NBA.
14.
I honestly, I think he's going to play well tonight because he's been hot. But I'm not sure the NBA views it that way. I really don't think they care at all about winning or losing in college. Based on every mock draft I read, all these guys were long gone. I mean, most of them have been out of the tournament for 3 weeks. So what do they care? I mean, every great player, almost all the great modern players, didn't do anything in college basketball.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. All right, so we've got a lot to do. We've got the UConn women back to the top of the mountain that we saw yesterday. Kind of surprised that South Carolina really couldn't make that a game in the second half. And so we'll talk about Geno Auriemma and Paige Beckers and whether UConn being dominant is good for the sport. I think it's kind of interesting that the women's college basketball, talk about a rocket ship. They have been on a rocket ship, and it's all without UConn winning national titles. Like, they haven't won since 2016. So it's been nearly a decade of them. Listen, they've been great. They're still getting to Final Fours, Perloff. But I think there's something about the parity at the top of the sport ended up helping the sport a lot. Because it became a little UConn, ho-hum, here they are again. They got the best players, and they're going to win. And then somebody else entered the conversation. And then Caitlin Clark took this thing to and her and Angel together with their rivalry, and Caitlin's shot making took this thing to a totally different stratosphere. I don't know if UConn being at the top of the mountain is actually the best thing for women's college hoops. It seems like the sport really started to grow in this exponential way when there was more parity.
Well,
and we saw South Carolina come in, and we saw Notre Dame, and we saw all these other teams start to have a say.
So you do think UConn is what they were? Because isn't South Carolina still the team to beat?
I think UConn is now. They just crushed them yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, once. I feel like Dawn Staley's going to be back on top because UConn's going to lose a couple of people. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have
UConn is Sarah Strong, though.
Sarah Strong
she's
amazing.
Yeah, she's a freshman.
But don't you feel like South Carolina is just going to
Fudd's coming back.
reform?
I think they both will. I can see them being at the top of the mountain, both of them, and then we'll see what happens. And is UCLA going to have something to say about this? And Texas is back.
Well, South Carolina's won 2 in the last 4 years. And then LSU. Yeah, I don't think
Juju Watkins. Let's not forget about the USC stuff.
I don't feel like UConn is unbeatable now, like they were back in the day. But even that would be good. I don't necessarily think. I think it was Caitlin. I'm not sure it was the dominant team. I mean, Caitlin didn't win a title.
No, but she was playing for national.
Yeah,
titles.
I'm not so sure what the formula. Why is there less buzz around this year than last year? Obviously, Caitlin. Is there any more to it?
I think Caitlin, but I will always maintain that I think Angel played a huge role in this too. I think it was Caitlin and her shot making, no doubt about it. And I think it was also Caitlin having a foil. Like Paige Beckers, who's the foil? Juju? I mean, they didn't even get to play against each other because Watkins got hurt, which is a shame. But I think the rivalry aspect is big. I think UConn-Tennessee back in the day, that rivalry definitely helped. I'm a huge proponent of rivalries. I think they help sports, every sport immensely, from team sports to individual stuff.
So you think Caitlin would not have had the explosion if it wasn't for Angel? Then?
No, I think it helped. I think it took it to a different level because the conversation got into different pockets of society too, right? Like it did with Magic and Bird. There was a racial element to it. There's like a who you got element. It got set up as like good versus the good versus the villain, like all of that stuff, which whether that's right or wrong or true or not true, it all helped. So yeah. I don't think Paige Beckers doesn't have a foil. Her own knee, unfortunately. Her injuries.
But that's also part of why UConn hasn't been where they usually are is because they've lost her to injury. And I think
did
they lose in 2 Final Fours when she was healthy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, like they're getting there. So it's not like they've disappeared. They've been there, and like they lost to Caitlin Clark last year in the semis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like that, like they're there. It's not like they've taken that many steps back. They've had some bad luck along the way,
and that's great. And I never thought UConn was going anywhere, and they shouldn't because of all the talent. But they didn't win. They won yesterday. They hadn't won since 2016. And what happened while they were not winning titles? The sport got to a level that we had not seen, and that's like. It sounds like I'm denigrating them. I just think people wanted to see a little new blood.
I think they wanted parity, and that was the thing. Like it was, dynasties can help a sport, but only so much. If it becomes almost like the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Washington Generals, at a certain point, that act gets old, and that's kind of what it was for women's basketball for UConn. They had 3 years in a row where they were undefeated. Like I think Caitlin was great, but I think also that you had multiple teams and multiple programs rise up over these last 4 or 5 years has definitely helped the women's games well, because it wasn't just Caitlin's games that did well. LSU did well.
Right.
USC did well. Like there were other teams who also were getting good ratings. South Carolina, right. There were other teams who were getting good ratings because people realized, there are more teams to follow than just one team or one player.
I don't know. I'm just a little. I think the sport is now at a different place. Like 3 years ago, before Caitlin, like the ratings were nothing. I mean, South Carolina, UConn had 4 million watch in 2022. Watch the last game. Maybe that's because UConn was so dominant. I'm not sure it's a parity. I think it was Caitlin opened people's eyes to the sport, and now everybody loves the sport. So I think, or not Caitlin, but whatever, the sport was ready to go. I'm not sure. You guys are saying it was the parity. I'm not sure exactly why it was ready to go.
I think people got sick of UConn, just like, the Warriors got backlash, like the Kansas City Chiefs got backlash, and in times that by 1,000 with UConn because they were just so dominant.
But wouldn't you need to see ratings going up, and then using Perloff's Spurs example, ratings coming back down because we were tired of watching Geno Auriemma. The ratings were the ratings. Parity might have helped, but this is a 95% Caitlin Clark conversation.
Yeah.
Parity without her over the last couple of years, they're not doing
Angel
this.
Too, right? Angel too, like the whole thing.
But Angel without Caitlin is not the same thing either. Like this is about Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean South Carolina, Iowa was a famously the highest rated game by far. There was no Angel in that.
USC, South Carolina versus Iowa.
Yeah, South Carolina, Iowa.
18 million.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be curious to know what the ratings are from yesterday. We'll probably get them soon. Did this also happen to anyone else, just as a side? I asked EJ and Perloff about this, and I didn't get a follow-up. I have to look. I was watching the women's final on ABC, okay? So, like, the main ABC channel. And every time they went to commercial break, it never actually fired the commercials. It was just the in-arena, like, camera,
You had
high
the league
angle.
pass?
Yeah, the league pass.
The league pass
For the championship
Oh.
game. It wasn't even logged in. It
And
was
you were,
odd.
You were watching on like regular TV or streaming? Like,
No, but main ABC on my actual television, just Verizon Files, cable.
yeah, that's weird. I was watching on ABC too, and I don't remember not having commercials.
Yeah.
Well, one of the
same here.
weird things is that I could actually hear some of the in-arena stuff. So, like, Holly Rowe did an interview with Geno Auriemma during in between the first and second quarter, and I heard that in the commercial break.
That's
You
weird.
heard that raw?
I heard the raw, and I'm like, wait a minute, someone is going to get caught on a hot mic here, and there's going to be
Yeah.
a
Big time.
career's going to die today that we didn't expect.
Happened on SNL
Yeah.
where the crowd cursed.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. But I mean, that could get real bad if you say something really unseemly on a hot mic. But everyone kept it going, kept it up appearances.
is anyone worried about Maggie?
Not my
Don't worry about
TV.
her, bro.
And all those issues with TNT and TBS. Now a USA Network one
She
come
was
in.
hearing Holly Rowe during the commercials.
This is how they get the conspiracies to her.
yeah.
I'm always hearing.
Was
Holly
anyone-
Rowe.
because
That's what I didn't tell
She's
you.
been hanging out with that Aaron Rodgers.
You told us that yesterday, and I Googled it. I couldn't find anything. So I was like, what is going on here?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest too.
Yeah.
Starring Maggie.
Could it have been a Fios thing?
I guess. I mean, am I the chief? Unreliable narrator?
Wait, when you say you heard a Holly Rowe interview, who was she interviewing? Was it somebody in the game, or was it some
Maggie,
Yeah.
tell the voices to
Yeah.
calm down.
that voice?
Uh-oh. I'm hearing things.
There's no documentation of any of this.
I was on
boy.
Planet Zoltron last night. All right, Bogusch has headlines.
These
Save me.
headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the latest big leaguer to get paid. The first baseman and the Blue Jays ending their prolonged negotiations with a reported 14-year agreement worth $500 million. There are apparently no deferrals, and Vladdy gets a full no-trade clause. He's already a four-time All-Star, still just 26 years old.
You know, this is a bummer because we all did this like home run kind of season-long home run bet where we all got 3 players. We did it as a draft, and whoever is the cumulative most home runs wins.
Yeah, I misunderstood the assignment.
Yeah, no, Manny,
Clearly.
I think you were hurting that day. Didn't get it.
I just didn't understand the English.
Yeah, Piggy Bite Trout was certainly
All right, Sammy Sosa.
certainly
Matt
a
Olson,
choice.
number 1.
But I picked Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Who?
thinking this was going to be a contract year and he was going to be super motivated, and that lasts until April 6th.
Yeah, he also had no home run. Well, he still has no home run, so
That's
that
hurt me,
motivation wasn't there yet.
You know who has a couple of home runs? Mike Trout.
Yeah.
That's
Manny was bragging about Mike Trout catching fire this weekend. Mike Trout, I mean, it's not Joe Schmo.
Well, he's played, 50 games the last 10 seasons?
And he'll hit 25 home runs.
It's pretty good. Sorry, Bogues, back to you.
On the field, baseball-wise last night, the Red Sox are red hot.
2-1 for now. Loaded up. The pitch is drilled high and deep into left field. That's way back. It's going to catch some green. 1 run scores behind Narvaez is Rafaela. Bregman loves Fenway. It's a 2-run double, and the Sox lead 4-1.
That is from Red Sox Radio. Bregman and Boston just getting started against the Cardinals on Sunday Night Baseball. He tacked on a 3-run homer, finishing with 4 hits and 6 RBI in an 18-7 rout of St. Louis. The Sox sweeping a doubleheader. They have won 5 in a row overall. Alex Ovechkin did it with time to spare.
Right side to Wilson, centered up. Ovechkin has it. He scores! He scores! Alex Ovechkin scores is a new goal-scoring champion, and his name is Alexander Ovechkin. He has done it here on Long Island.
Bonus points to John Walton on Caps Radio for knowing it's on Long Island, not in Long Island. Ovi making history with a left wing wrister midway through the second period yesterday afternoon. The only goal the Caps scored in a 4-1 loss to the Islanders, but who cares? Dylan Strome had the secondary assist.
Everything about it was perfect. The way he shot it, the way he wound up and shot it, and it was just, I think it was a picture perfect goal. And just sometimes those moments happen where you kind of got to pinch yourself to believe that you're really in this moment and really on the ice, celebrating or a part of it. And it's just, it was awesome.
So he gets $895, breaking Gretzky's all-time mark. Gretzky goes home after only a couple of days, just a weekend, chasing Ovi around the country.
That was
no
a quick
big deal.
one.
Not too bad.
DC to Long Island, no big.
And there are 5 games left in the regular season. Does he get to 900 now before the year's over?
Well, Gretzky said he'd buy him a car if he gets to
I did hear that.
which is cool.
Yeah, no, Gretzky was awesome about this. Yeah, I saw he wouldn't hug him because he was too sweaty after the game. But other than that, Gretzky gets an A+ for this.
So gracious. And he said it's because, Gordie Howe, was in the building when he broke Gordie's record and he wanted to pay it forward. And even his wife, Janet, who I know Perloff is a massive fan of, she was there to bring a gift to Ovi's wife. I mean, they really did this thing right.
I'll say it. She looks remarkable.
She hasn't aged.
Alrighty. I mean, I'm sure she's gotten help. But that's the only thing I could. Yes, very true. But it's the only thing I could see on the ice yesterday. She looked
how about
beautiful.
Ovechkin's wife? I mean,
but as comparison, give me Janet 11 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm. You want to share the dad joke frenzy we had over?
You two got something private.
That was a side text.
Yeah,
left everybody out.
Yeah, you know what? Just keep that to yourself.
Yeah, it was,
you were watching Holly Rowe Raw interviews, so I didn't want to disturb
Holly
you.
Rowe.
Not on purpose.
Holly Rowe interviewing
Geno Auriemma to drop an F-bomb or something.
Maggie's watching Holly Rowe interview a ghost, and me and Bogusch are.
You were watching real Janet Jones and real Mrs. Ovechkin. I'm sorry, I don't know her name.
I think her name is Nastia.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yes.
By the way, we can get more into this. I had no idea what Ovechkin had planned for all this memorabilia and merch. Get into that in a minute. 888-710-4ISN. I shouldn't call it merch. Memorabilia.
Bad day to be a beer as well. Oh, man. Ovi was crushing those beers after the game.
He did on Friday night, too. While he was waiting to do press, he just grabs a Bud Light and pops and let's go.
Hey, when you're the
couldn't be a Maverick.
When you're the all-time scorer in the NHL, you can have a brewski whenever you'd like.
He claims he's never been hungover. Is that like saying you invented the question mark?
No,
like,
he's just always drunk.
That
that's why.
Remember the Capitals the Stanley Cup run afterwards?
Yeah.
He was
swimming in a fountain.
Hung over at least once. Come on.
And he did the same thing yesterday after he scored the goal. He did like the swimming in the fountain thing.
He almost busted his chin.
Nah.
That was not a pretty dive.
When you're the all-time leading scorer in the NHL.
No, you do what you want, but it's such a huge claim. Never been hungover. I kind of believed him.
Fictional claim.
True.
Also fantasy.
Wilt slept with all those women. Well, Alexander Ovechkin never had a hangover.
What's more impressive?
Wilt.
I believe.
I don't think Wilt needed to try very hard. I think these women saw him coming. Was like, do I want to sleep with Wilt Chamberlain today? Yes or no?
As for the alcohol, they had to try very hard. And
that
they
you got to
failed.
drink. Put it on the poll. No, I'm just kidding. 888-710-4ISN. 888-710-4476. So you guys on the phones, you want to talk about tonight's national championship game. I do have an update. What is going to happen to the puck, the stick, Ovi's jersey? I had no idea. It's not going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'll tell you exactly what's happening to it. We'll do that next. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I'm talking about Duke's collapse in the Final Four. The implications of that, did you enjoy it? I think a lot of people did. And obviously, we've got tonight's national championship game. Right now, Florida sitting as just a 1-point favorite over Houston. This opened as Houston minus 1.5, so everyone thinks it's going to be tight. The total, 141.5. Let's go to Martin, who's in Houston. Martin, how excited are you for your Cougs in the national championship game?
Hey, I'm very excited. I went to school there at U of H and University of Houston, and Duke that combination, Duke collapsing, yes, that you could make that argument, but they collapsed because of what the University of Houston was doing on defense and other things. But you remember the NBA in the 90s. Remember how the NBA was in the 1990s, early 90s, when the scores were like 90 to 85.
Yeah.
You remember those days?
Yep.
Well, that's how. Like it or not, that's how the Cougars are. If the Cougars can keep this score tonight against Florida in the range of 65 to 60, that's very much into the Cougars.
Their MO.
In their favor.
But that's the thing, Martin, that's so crazy. And good luck to your Cougs, and thank you for the phone call. The crazy part is that you kind of have like this total clash, Pearl, because you have a Cougars team that is holding teams to under 70 points, and then you have a Florida team that's consistently scoring in the 80s. So what's going to give here?
Right, but Florida can also be pretty good on defense, too. They have some defensive players. I think it'll be an arm wrestling match, kind of like Martin said.
Does that play into the Houston's hands?
Yeah, well, yes, but we've seen Houston play. Florida play some tough teams, too. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you're going to credit their defense, where was their defense before that? So they weren't playing good defense, and in the last 10 minutes, to me, it was the Duke collapse. Like, I think Houston was doing the same things for most of the game. Did Houston, they got a little more aggressive and pressed more, but generally, I think you got to look at Duke felt it because they weren't having trouble with Houston's defense for the early part of the game. So what changed?
Well, I do think that a big part of why Houston was able to come back is how uncomfortable they made Duke in those inbounding situations. So it's like it was like situational defense, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have done that all game. I felt like Duke, that's a classic panic situation where Duke is trying to inbound the ball. And also that technical was bizarre.
Yeah, the technical foul that Houston got, reaching over the baseline to knock the ball out of the Duke, the inbounder's hands. That's when I thought Houston was cooked.
Oh,
I was like,
that's
they're
when you thought they were
collapsing.
cooked?
Well, I was like, they're collapsing.
Yeah.
They can't hold their composure. Meanwhile, little did I know, 25 seconds later, they'd hit a huge three and they get a huge putback dunk, and it was on.
Yeah, I think there was panic on Duke's part, and I don't think there's any question about it.
So is that on the players or John Shire?
I mean, I think a lot of that's on Shire. But to be fair to Houston's defense, I mean, no one scored double figures except for Flagg and Knipple. I mean, that's a winning formula, right? Like
Malawak was a zero.
He was on a
7'2".
He was on a milk carton. I mean, the guy had zero rebounds in 21 minutes. I mean, that speaks to Houston's physicality and how they made him uncomfortable.
So you think they wore him down though because it wasn't working?
I think they did. That's what I was going to get to.
That could be.
And that's what Brendan Hayward actually said on Friday, which he was like, the one thing about Houston. It was
Crean.
Crean. Sorry, yeah. Crean said that the one thing about Houston is they wear you down. And I've seen that, and I've seen teams go through that where maybe the first half it looks like you're doing well, sometimes even do 2.5 of a game, but getting to that end of the game, it gets a lot harder against that defense.
Well, Florida did against Jani Broom, and they saw that he was compromised in the other national semifinal. They saw he was compromised, and then they just kept throwing guys at him. And by the end of the game, he was completely worn down.
Well, Florida has been maybe the same thing. They've been tremendous late in games. I mean, they were getting killed by UConn, and they just wore them down because they could throw a lot of big bodies at you too. This is, to answer Martin's question, I think it could be more of a wrestling match, which I guess plays in the Cougars' hands, but Florida doesn't seem afraid of that style either.
888-710-4ISN. I do want to pay off something I teased going into the break about what's going to happen to Alexander Ovechkin's stuff that he scored this record-setting goal with yesterday. 895, passes Gretzky. So did you guys know that Ovechkin is starting his own hockey museum in Moscow, Russia? It's going to open in 2 years. He's been collecting over 300 signed hockey sticks from guys all over the league.
So it's hockey in general. It's not just the Alexander Ovechkin Museum in Moscow.
I think it's going to be like the Alexander Ovechkin Museum, and also here's some other guys.
It's kind of like the Flash Museum, where the Flash has a museum for himself.
Yes,
it's just all things. Yeah, gotcha.
What?
I didn't know about that, but
it sounds like a presidential library plus. Like a presidential library with some stuff from other presidents.
Yeah, if a presidential library also had smashed beer cans from a championship run, then yes, something like that. but it's going to be the puck, the stick, and the jersey. Now, he was like switching out. He switched out the jersey right after he scored the goal. So he had a warm-ups jersey, and then they thought he may actually change jerseys every period, but they have multiple jerseys. But the one that he was wearing while scoring the goal is going to be in Moscow. So if you want to see all that stuff, you got to book a plane.
Not going to Toronto, eh?
Wait,
Not going to
you're
Toronto.
not.
That's
If you want to see all that stuff, you're not seeing that stuff. There's no booking a plane.
Get the first
If
flight
anyone's
out.
listening to us is not going to Moscow to watch. Yeah.
There's some diehard OV fans out there.
Yeah, Russian Americans.
Go to the motherland. Their motherland. 888-710-4ISN. That's where all that stuff's going. And then other things will go to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and some of it will go to the Capitals, and some of it will probably be up for sale, and it's going to cost a lot. Maggie and Perloff show coming up. A lot of football for you. What happened over the weekend, we'll tell you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We get back to college hoops in just one moment, but there was a lot going on over the weekend with Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, and everything surrounding the Colorado Pro Day on Friday. So welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So again, we'll get back to the college hoops in a second, but dissecting everything that happened this weekend, Pearl, there's quite a bit here. So let's try to take it kind of like line by line, if you will.
Good luck. Good luck when it comes to this situation.
This is what being a professional broadcaster is all about. And I promise I'm going to miss some stuff. Okay, the first thing, top of the top line, is that both Shedeur and Travis knocked it out of the park in their pro days. So that's kind of like the headliner here, which you should knock it out of the park in your pro day. But Shedeur completed 62 of 67 passes. There were supposedly 3 drops. Okay, you don't want any. You don't want pro day stats.
You said professional broadcaster. You just read pro day stats.
Okay,
so
well, Hunter caught 15 passes from Shedeur. I'm doing everything here. I'm going line by line.
Yards per catch.
I don't have the yak. I don't have the yards after catch. I don't have air yards. I don't have A dots. I don't have any.
I thought you were putting in the work.
I'm not.
On this top speed on the slant.
Yeah, 100 miles an hour. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, so that was just the Shedeur stats aspect of it all, and they both did very, very well. There was drama though at the pro day, and that was Deion Sanders calling out a Denver Broncos scout who was trying to line guys up in a certain way, and Deion didn't like that. So let's hear a little of Deion telling Colorado players to ignore this NFL scout's instructions on the pro day.
1, 2. We supposed to get the white. Y'all start. How y'all gonna start? Just let him. Do y'all thing, all right? We get all the white. Do what y'all do.
Okay. Notable because, Deion doesn't curse in public generally. This was him mic'd up. And him kind of going after and kind of not going after, but clearly telling the scout who's in charge of this workout. It's not you, it's me, and I'm going to tell guys to ignore you.
Yeah, it's clearly significant because that's a preview of next year when Deion's son is playing in the NFL and you're a head coach and you are going to hear from Deion.
Yes, probably. Well, it depends. I don't know. If Deion likes what he sees, then maybe you won't hear from him.
Well, I think that is the key issue of Shedeur, but go ahead.
Okay, so we'll get into that a little bit as well. So you had Shedeur and Travis Hunter did well at the pro day. Deion got upset at a Denver Broncos. So in your backyard, a Denver Broncos scout who tried to tell the guys where to line up. And then you got this from Jeff, 2 things. One, Jim Wyatt, who's a reporter in Tennessee, reporting that Shedeur Sanders and the Titans kind of mutually agreed not to do a private workout.
Yeah.
So clearly now we're very much leaning into Cam Ward being the number 1 overall pick. Apparently the Browns and the Giants, the New York Giants, did inquire about the number 1 overall pick. They've been turned down. No one even knows what the compensation would be. So like they're not far down the road on this according to the reporting. Okay, so Shedeur is not going to have a private workout with the Titans. Then we get from Jeff Howe, who's a national NFL writer for The Athletic, that the league believes the Browns are leaning towards Travis Hunter. And then it's a guessing game of what the Giants will do, Perloff, between Abdul Carter and Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, great.
Right. Although it does seem like the tea leaves say they'll take whoever falls out of Carter and Hunter. Isn't that what most reporters are saying? Kind of, that's what we have right now,
So
which is
the
bizarre
Giants
to me.
would pass on Shedeur Sanders.
Right. Which is, there's so many odd things about this because Abdul Carter, you've mentioned many times, we don't know about his health. The Giants are already paying millions and millions of dollars to defensive linemen. And then the Browns have Myles Garrett, too. Why would they take a defensive lineman? So Abdul Carter's an odd fit. I mean, honestly, I'm sure New England sitting at 4 would be over the moon if Abdul Carter fell. But it does feel, I mean, if I don't know, if when the mock drafts come out this week, it's going to be Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, and Abdul Carter 3, probably, because, I mean, it just doesn't feel like the Giants and Shedeur are married, which I don't understand exactly.
Well, I think that there's been a directive from ownership to find the quarterback of the future. Now, whether or not that's a smart thing for ownership to have said from the New York Giants, that is what they said. So are you going to defy that? Are you going to convince John Mara not to take Shedeur Sanders because you have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston holding the fort? And then you're going to, do this all again next year with maybe a different coach and maybe a different general manager? Everything feels very backwards here.
The Giant way, baby.
For the Giants. Now, here's one thing while you talk about the Giant way. What really was the identity of the Giants when things are going very well for them? Defense. Their defensive line. I know that Eli Manning won Super Bowl MVP and beating Tom Brady, but that defensive line, the NASCAR line, those guys won that Super Bowl. Okay? 2 of them. It was the Justin Tucks and the Osi Umenyoras and Strahan. Those are the guys who are responsible for winning that Super Bowl. Eli and David Tyree have the all-time, connection, and then the Plaxico Burress and Mario Manningham. And we know the offensive guys, but those were low-scoring games where the defense held Tom Brady in check. The identity of the Giants when things are going well, which they've gotten away from, is defense. So for them to take Abdul Carter is actually not that crazy, even though they've invested in that line a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's exactly that or that just Abdul Carter is head and shoulders above Shedeur Sanders as an NFL prospect. I think that's kind of the bottom line. If Abdul Carter was perfectly healthy, I wonder if Cleveland would have a different calculus here, assuming Cleveland goes Travis Hunter. The odds say I'm seeing for number 2 Carter is the -110 favorite to go number 3. So he's kind of chalk right now. I just think he's a generational player. Remember we started this whole thing, the Titans said, we're not going to pass on a generational player just to fill a need. I think they were talking about Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. Then they sort of evolved and realized Cam Ward was awesome too. Yeah. So, but Abdul Carter feels like a Myles Garrett type. That's what I think. We saw him in the college football playoffs. Amazing. How could you pass on him for a quarterback who's a Kirk Cousins type?
Well, because if you're worried about his foot, if you're worried about Abdul Carter, and if that foot he's not getting surgery on it, but if you think he eventually will need surgery, we've talked to world-renowned foot doctor Rock Positano enough times to know once you cut on a foot, you could be opening yourself up to a world of problems.
He wasn't so panicked about Abdul Carter's foot, though. Said that they stabilized it the right way. So maybe that'll happen. The other thing, too, is, and I saw this report about the Giants, Jeremy Fowler said there's a league view that signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston was a message that they weren't possibly going to go quarterback.
I mean, I don't know how that's a message. These 2 guys are clear stopgaps.
That's what Jeremy said.
Yeah. No, I guess. Do you get the fan base off your back? I doubt it.
Well, they just open up the possibility if there's an all-time generational pick sitting there that they don't have to take a quarterback. I kind of lean with you. I'm like, Russell Wilson, that's a reason not to take a quarterback. But at least it opens up the possibility there's somebody in the room besides Tommy DeVito if they want to take somebody else. It gives them options.
And Jameis is fun to watch, but he's like a joke,
I think he's a super high-end backup. I mean, he's a very high-end backup who they got at a reasonable price.
Green beans.
But it's just some part of Jameis, it's like the turnovers are so blatant.
He cut down a little bit in Cleveland.
Because I have the eye of a tiger.
And, he's a quote machine. And he even said he wants to go to New York because it's good exposure for him. It's like, that's not what I want to hear.
Did he throw 4 picks and 4 touchdowns in one game last year?
Yes, in the snow, I think. That was...
Sweet potato.
That was the Denver game, right? The Denver game on Thursday night. He threw for 1 million yards and 1 million touchdowns. Also threw all those picks.
that's the Jameis experience. Like, you can't actually expect to be winning games. 888-710-4ISN. So we're unpacking everything from the weekend that happened with all the football news and how it impacts the draft. And then the question is, if the Browns now, according to reports, are leaning Travis Hunter, the Giants would be set up to pick either Abdul Carter or Shedeur. Mm-hmm. And then if they take Abdul Carter, how far does Shedeur fall? Probably pretty far.
Well, he's odds on to go number 9 to New Orleans. He's become a heavy favorite there. But
that'd be smart of them.
But where did this? It's so funny. Do we have to adjust as an NFL world the idea of Shedeur being in New Orleans? I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. We've been thinking about him in Cleveland and New York. Would that be smart? Like, does New Orleans have talent? If you're Deion, are you excited about New Orleans? I would say it's kind of a mixed bag because there's no receivers at all.
Yeah, you might like Kellen Moore, though. And, as an offensive
that's good. It's indoors.
Head coach. And then, you sit behind Derek Carr for a year. Probably not the worst guy to learn from.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But New Orleans could sure use some other positions at that draft. They're pretty empty.
That is true. 888-710-4ISN. So that's just a little bit of the latest. And what do you think about the Browns now leaning Travis Hunter? That is the word on the street. And Deion getting into it with a scout from the Denver Broncos. Perloff, you think this is the number one story with Shedeur is Deion's involvement?
Well, that's what my question is. If his dad wasn't Deion Sanders, would he go higher or lower? Because I think if you look at Shedeur, I know there's so many different takes on him as a football player, but he was super effective at Colorado. If Bo Nix and Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy can be top 12 picks, then I think Shedeur Sanders can be. But if you're a team, if you were a coach, would you want Deion looking over your shoulder? Because it could happen.
I'd have to believe in myself as a coach and believe in Shedeur as a prospect. Like,
No.
I would. Like, I'd have to believe in myself as a coach that I would be able to weather that storm, get the most out of him. Because if I really think Shedeur is going to take me where I need to go, then Deion's going to be a non-factor.
Yeah, that seems idealistic. Also, the fact that Deion's a successful college coach, like Jackson Dart's dad's not a successful college coach. He's not gonna take your job. I think there's a lot of fear with Deion, but I hear you. I mean, Deion is totally awesome. Honestly, an owner probably might like Deion more than you. That's not good.
I'm gonna hug him.
888-710-4ISN. Again, we get back to college hoops in a moment. Congratulations, UConn women back at the top of the mountain, and Geno Auriemma just extends his lead in terms of titles, an all-time winningest head coach, and passes John Wooden, who had 11 titles, Pearl, and now Geno Auriemma has 12. We'll talk about whether Geno is the greatest college coach of all time. But first, movie sequels. Music will get you going on a Monday morning. Guys, can you believe it? The Final Four over the weekend in the Maggie and Perloff movie sequel bracket, and we will have our own championship game tonight. Let's get you some Final Four results, shall we? All chalk, the Maggie and Perloff movie sequel bracket. Congratulations to The Godfather 2, who snuck by The Dark Knight, and down goes the number one overall seed in this tournament.
Your father respected Hyman Roth, but your father never trusted Hyman Roth or his Sicilian messenger boy Johnny Ola. Ma tu mi scusato, io sono stanco, sono biliato. And I want everybody here to know, there's not going to be no trouble for me.
There you go. Godfather 2 on to the championship game. In the other side of the Final Four, Perloff, again, one seeds all around. It is Star Wars Empire Strikes Back with an easy victory over Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
That's it. The rebels are there.
My lord, there are so many uncharted settlements. It could be smugglers, it could
That is the system, and I'm sure Skywalker is with them. Set your course for the Hoth system. General Veers, prepare your men. Admiral.
Wow.
I just love whatever they say, Hoth and Maggie trying to wrap her head around it and pronouncing that the right way.
Hoth.
I'm sorry.
See, I would have
have
thought
a blind spot when it comes to Star Wars.
I'm more of a Dagobah system guy, where Yoda lived.
I've heard that about you.
No, you are I'd say you have a sci-fi fantasy.
like
you
blind
found
spot.
Lord of the Rings boring, as I recall.
Very expensive naps.
Yeah.
All three of those movies.
Are you, I'm sure.
that's crazy.
Doesn't seem like you're a big Avatar fan.
No, didn't like that one. Didn't see the second one. I did watch Game of Thrones. Had a little sci-fi, some dragons.
Yeah, that was, yeah. No, that's true. Then if you like that, how can you not like Lord of the Rings? That was sort of old-timey Game of Thrones.
Gosh, these fight scenes would just never end. Oh
yeah,
my
I'm not
gosh.
crazy about Lord of the
More
Rings either.
You guys don't like Lord of the Rings? Oh, my God.
A little boring to me.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Just
really
die
slow.
already or live. I don't care. Do something. Get a ring. What is the Gollum? I just didn't like it. Anyway, Lord of the Rings not
Charles
here.
Barkley.
Godfather 2 and Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. Do you consider Star Wars, like I was thinking Dark Knight is a superhero movie. Star Wars not superhero movie. It's sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Okay.
I have a major beef with you guys, by the way, about Godfather.
Why?
Massive beef.
What's that?
Shout out to Godfather 1 and fair and square, close race. We and Pearl have been arguing who would win Dark Knight or Godfather.
Yeah.
Last week, there was a conversation about a clip that was played
Yeah.
that was allegedly not from Godfather Part 2.
It was?
Oh, is that a flashback?
There's a flashback scene in Godfather Part 2
Oh, at the end?
at the end of the movie that I played last week.
Okay,
I've
but it
heard
might-
the allegation.
Oh, you're so right.
Wait.
That was the flashback. And I did say there was a flashback with James Caan in the second one. I actually said that.
But was it actually in the first one too?
No,
No.
It's
They
a new
brought back
scene.
James Caan for one scene of Godfather 2 at the very, very end. You're right. But by the way, spoiler, EJ, you gave up the last scene.
Wow.
You guys said it wasn't in the movie.
You're
Came
right.
out in 1974.
I mean, I've been getting. I had to say that
Nah,
because I've been
you're-
getting all
you're
this crap about how I don't know
guilty as
anything
charged.
about Godfather, and I should know all these mob movies. I gave you guys a big flashback scene, and it's like this isn't in Godfather 2, and I was like, well, I don't know. Is this what is said on YouTube?
The question is it going to make you watch any of these movies? Now that we're here and Godfather 2 just beat Dark Knight, which I know you love Dark Knight.
Yes.
Will you go with the public here? Like, wow, this movie has got to be pretty awesome if it just beat Dark Knight.
It's like I keep saying, I don't think that these movies aren't great. I'm not into mob movies, so I'm not running to them. I will say, like, I feel like I've watched this movie because I've cut now 8 clips, I feel like, of the show.
Yeah.
But the clips are awesome. I mean, the acting's amazing. The scenes are incredible, even though I don't know, like, the plot per se.
Right.
I am more invested and more interested in wanting to eventually see it. But, again, it's got to be one of the things where, like, it's on TV. And it's like, all right, it's on there. I'll go watch it now.
You're the only person I've ever met who's not into any kind of organized crime movies. Maybe not the mob, but like that's like what makes movies good. You need a cartel, you need something. Like that's the coolest kind of movies. All the cool movies are crime movies or mob
Well,
movies.
according to you.
According to everybody. No, I mean this is not. I don't think this is up for debate. I mean, who else is not into mob movies?
Well, here's the thing. I see them and I'll watch them, but I'm not running to rewatch. Like I didn't rewatch The Sopranos. I'm
Crazy.
good on Goodfellas.
Crazy.
I do love Godfather too, though. I
There's
do
so
think
many
that is a
bad
great
movie takes getting thrown around right now. It's
And yeah,
unbelievable.
I'm getting married to somebody who definitely is not into mob movies. Like I don't think she's ever watched these movies either.
Well, maybe it's more of a male-female thing. I mean,
Possible.
most men are
That's
into
very
mob
true.
movies.
Yeah,
Or like
My mom loves mob movies though. Elisa, my mom, Elisa Stewart, she loves
Penn
Scarface,
State
football,
football
Godfather,
and
and Penn
watching
State
people
football.
get blown away with in a mob heist.
That's a good time for my mom.
Well, listen, I like it. She's a multifaceted person. Okay, you can go vote right now. National championship game in the movie sequel bracket is now open. The Godfather 2 against Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. All-time great movie scores as well. Just everything about these movies is just dynamite.
Are you guys surprised that Terminator got destroyed the way it did? The first matchup was very close, but not Terminator.
I mean,
2.
it's going against Empire Strikes Back. It's an all-time movie. It's probably arguably the best Star Wars movie.
I'm a little surprised that Godfather 2 won just because, again, it came out in the 70s.
Yeah, but if you
beating
say
Dark Knight, which came out in 2008.
I think it's the structure because it was in the second Batman movie. I keep coming back to that. It was a sequel. I'll give you that. But, I mean, off the top of your head, if it was called Batman 2, then maybe it would have had a better chance. Also, Godfather 2, one of two, only two have ever won the Oscar, Godfather 2 and Lord of the Rings 2.
So EJ had to look up all these movie clips to do this whole tournament. You said now that you've looked up 8 different clips from The Godfather 2, it's making you want to watch it a little bit more. Can you say the same thing for Caddyshack 2?
He didn't cut a clip for
I only had
Caddyshack
to
2.
cut
Can
one
you
clip,
actually just remove this whole segment from the podcast?
What about Naked Gun 2.5?
That I will watch. I do want to watch because those clips are funny. Every single one I've watched. Now that went on a Cinderella one, so I had to watch multiple ones. Like Caddyshack 2 only got one clip. It was funny, but it was only one. Naked Gun 2.5. I've actually seen a lot of clips now because they went to the Elite 8, and I'm invested. I want to see this new one with
The
Liam
remake?
Neeson. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The reboot.
I'm into it.
That reboot's going to stink.
Have you ever seen Naked Gun, the first one?
No.
Not familiar with any of the Naked Guns, apparently.
They're good movies. 888-710.
I was born in 1991, people.
I'm just curious. You don't like mob movies. You don't like sci-fi fantasy.
We know what he likes.
What genre? No, Maggie. I'm saying you. Oh. What genres do you like besides absurdist comedy?
We know that EJ likes Marvel
What are your
movies.
genres? I know you don't like rom-coms.
Not a huge fan.
So you're not a fan of sci-fi. You're not a fan of fantasy. You don't like mob movies. You're not a fan of rom-coms. I know you like absurdist comedies. What are the other kinds?
That's pretty much it.
So you...
I was thinking the other day about other movies I wanted sequels to. I'm like, they never made a sequel to What About Bob?
My name is Jeff.
That's a good one.
Did What About Bob have so much more ground to cover?
I think so. They left some meat on the bone there. No, I just...
you mean Bob's Burgers?
I guess, yeah, I know. Look it up, EJ. Little guy named Bill Murray made a couple movies. I don't know.
He was in Space Jam.
I don't know. This is why I don't watch a lot of movies.
Action movies. You like those? Like Fast and Furious?
No. Not even close.
You like horror?
No,
Like
I will not watch
Hereditary?
horror.
A documentary.
I think all of them are skewed.
I don't think you're a movie person.
I think I'm not a movie person.
Wait. Animation. You like animated movies?
I do not.
Western. How about Westerns? 310 to Yuma?
No, I've seen a couple John Wayne movies. I've seen a couple Clint Eastwoods. I've seen Tombstone.
This is crazy. You are really anti-genres. But you like by the way, full disclosure, you always come in and say, I watched this movie and I liked it.
Yeah.
You just generally are not
I need
into
a good
these.
story. Give me a good story. How about that?
Your life on the line. What's your favorite movie? Go. 5, 4, 3,
It might
2.
be Godfather 2.
All right.
Godfather 2? Really? I thought Godfather 1's a little better in my opinion, but really? That's your favorite movie of all time?
It might be. It's up there. I'm trying to think of the movies I've watched the most.
It's a long list of 3 movies.
Yeah, I don't know. Fight Club?
Oh, that's another good one.
It's a great movie.
I've seen Goodfellas 275 times.
I have also, but I'm not.
I can't believe anybody who doesn't love that movie. It's just crazy to me. It's insane.
Makes me
It
feel
sounds
bad about myself.
literally like it just doesn't compute at all because it's just pure 2 hours of entertainment.
You know what movie I think you would really like? The Rush Hour movies.
I've seen them. I've seen the first 2. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. But enough about me.
If you've seen the one joke, you've seen all of them.
Yeah, I get it.
Wow.
Do you understand?
That's a good movie.
888-710-4ISN. So there you go. We're talking a little about how far could Shedeur Sanders fall if you have the Browns now leaning towards Travis Hunter, according to reports. If the Giants take Abdul Carter, well, now what? And then secondly, you can vote on the National Championship of Movie Sequels, Godfather 2 against Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. And go to @Maggie and Pearl, and you can go vote. We have a lot more to get to, including UConn back on the mountaintop. So what does this mean for Geno Auriemma in terms of all-time greatest coaches? And, of course, we have a lot to get to before tonight's national championship game. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. I put out on my X feed, Maggie, give me some player comps for Cooper Flagg, the Duke star. Scored 27 points in the final game. I think we both agree he was up and down. A semifinal game. Up and down. Had some great moments, especially earlier in the game. Missed his last shot, which I don't kill him for at all. LeBron and MJ missed a million last-second shots.
No, MJ never missed a shot.
I know. But generally, I thought he had some plays. There was one dunk earlier. I was like, oh, my God. He is ready for the NBA right now. And there was a lefty hook that was crazy, too.
Yeah, he's clearly skilled. The problem with Flagg in that national semifinal where they lose to Houston, who's going to play Florida tonight in the national championship game, is that he also couldn't put the team on his back when they went beyond cold. When Houston was making them so uncomfortable, there was no... And Houston starts closing the gap and closing the gap and closing the gap. It felt like Flagg, along with everyone else, was kind of helpless. Now, there was a terrible over-the-back call that called on him. If they let them play on, maybe this is a totally different game. I thought it was that monumental of a play, or a bad foul call. But, Flagg also just I'm not saying he disappeared. That's not it. But he couldn't elevate his team when they're watching the lead dwindle from 14 to 9 to 6, and then ultimately it was a 9-0 run by Houston to close it out.
But this is an NBA conversation. Does anybody in the NBA not fly to the podium to take that? Like, does it denigrate his draft status at all? Even 0.00001%?
No, it doesn't. But I'd love to hear the draft comps, because if you're taking a guy number 1 overall and someone who's as highly touted as Cooper Flagg, you're thinking, all right, could he be the focal point of a championship team? So with that in mind, give us the comps that you're seeing on social.
Grant Hill, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Grant Hill probably would have won an NBA title if he could have stayed healthy, maybe. But not quite. He could. But Tyler Hansbrough, I don't get that at all. Because I actually read this just to see how many white guy on white guy ones there were.
Say, Tyler
Psycho
Hansbrough,
T.
I don't get that.
Psycho T.
Hansbrough couldn't shoot from the outside.
No.
Decent mid-range, but no, not a 3-point shooter.
Well, and Flagg's got a little mid-range in him, which is interesting. Rasheed Wallace, I don't see that at all. Rasheed Wallace grew up in the back-to-the-basket era.
Rasheed's 6'11".
Yeah. Well, Cooper Flagg could end up being close to that. But Keith Van Horn, I knew that was coming. He shoots a little like Keith Van Horn.
Why'd you think that was coming?
What do they have in common?
Maybe Keith Van Horn went, what, number 2 overall? He was a tournament star. He was actually pretty athletic in college, but besides the point. Here's what I like, and I'm curious if you guys agree with this.
Okay.
Passes like old man LeBron on drives, and that's a compliment. He has incredible court vision. I actually thought of LeBron watching him play on Saturday night.
But LeBron was a good passer, even a young LeBron.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, I know.
He said old man LeBron.
Yeah. Well, now LeBron especially passes on drives because he can't finish all the time. I think he's got great court vision, which makes him a potentially great player. That's what I see the most. Like those guys, some guys just see the court. Magic, Larry, LeBron. I think he might see the court like that, and that's why I think there is a championship upside. And then somebody responded to that. He's got the LeBron clutch gene, that's for sure.
Oh, damn.
Come on, man. LeBron's 4 titles.
Yeah, right.
You guys know what
we got to let that go.
Yeah. It's just, I hit a nerve there. But that was Hollywood Fish on Twitter.
Well, it'd be funny if you said it's got the James Harden clutch gene. Now, that would be hilarious because Harden's whole MO is coming up small in Game 6s and Game 7s.
That dude's still living in 2010.
Yeah, but there was a decade of killing LeBron for not having the clutch gene. That was a thing for 10 years in our lives.
But he played for another decade.
But I also thought of, but Cooper Flagg just turned 18 in December.
I know, it's crazy.
And
He's
all
so
of a sudden,
young.
and somebody on this show specifically said, Duke is bad in late games and Cooper Flagg's bad in late games.
Yep.
EJ.
Got to get better at that.
Yeah, EJ, you would have been all over LeBron for the same thing. Like they were killing LeBron until he was about 27, which is when you win NBA titles. So anyway, the point, Cooper Flagg's 18. This guy's upside is insane. Who cares if he wins in this game?
No, this is definitely going to stick more with Jon Scheyer than it will Flagg. Flagg's going to go on and be the number 1 pick, and as you've rightly pointed out, you don't have to have tournament success. It's not a predictor of what your NBA career is going to be like. Now,
it's a major downside. If you're good in the tournament, that means you're old, and that means the NBA does not want you. Look at the mock drafts. It's all guys who've been home for a month.
Yeah, maybe we'll disagree about that and maybe what the future looks like for NBA scouting because guys are staying in college longer for all different types of reasons, most notably them getting paid.
That's interesting.
And we could talk about how that might change as we move forward, but it's not a predictor of NBA success.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, I will kill anyone in this room to get Dylan Harper on the Sixers, and that dude was 500 in college.
Well, not making the tournament is not great either.
No, it's great. It's pretty great.
Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, those guys weren't great. But
Former
anyway,
Sixers.
What's that?
Anthony Edwards is pretty good.
Anthony Edwards is great. So, but here's the thing. Jon Scheyer, this sticks with a lot more because A, you may never have a team like this again. Maybe you will.
Yeah, next year.
Well, we'll see. And is that a good thing, right? Because you're always saying you can't win with freshmen. But then the other part is, like, Shires now is back-to-back pretty devastating losses. The one last year to NC State was bad, and this one is horrible. There's no other way to slice it. You're up 14 with 8:03. You're up 9 with 2:06. You're up 6 with 34 seconds. Kelvin Sampson and his defense schooled you. And the guys got tight, which is also on you. So it's like, Scheyer really... he's the one who takes the brunt of this.
He's pretty young. Are you willing to give him time to grow? He's 37.
Definitely. But this is how. So maybe next year he gets to the national championship game, and then we'll see what happens. I don't know. But all I also know is that you can't take this stuff for granted. And he had a great team. They were the odds-on favorite to win. They had the lead. That's the biggest part. You got to close that game out.
I mean,
easy for me to say.
It's been a while for Duke. It's been a long time. It's been a decade now since they've won this thing or even been in the title game. So there's something that's a little off. They're still the team in college basketball, but I don't know if Shire wins a title in the next 5 years.
Well, it's funny because we talked about whether the mystique of these college programs matters anymore, right?
Right.
Because is it just all about the money now?
Well,
Duke is going to be an interesting litmus test here. So is North Carolina.
Yeah, but Duke got Cooper Flagg and hadn't won a title in 9 years, so.
That's fine, but Cooper Flagg is one thing. Are they going to get the next guy?
Well, next year they did pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You mean in 2 years?
Well, right. They get the Boozer twins.
Yeah.
They lost, but they did lose that AJ kid who's going to Utah to BYU. But that is a complicated situation, right?
Yeah. It wasn't that complicated. They gave him $6 million. And he said, all right, where do I sign? $6 million. I signed at 66.
Doesn't he have a connection to wait, where does he play?
Oh, they transferred him to Utah Prep, I think is the school.
Okay. Oh, so that's the only reason he's in Utah?
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason why he's there. Yeah.
But that's the thing, like the mystique of these programs, is it going to continue to exist in the era of, well, what's the price? How much are you paying me?
You could argue Duke gives you so much more exposure to marketing deals, too, because Duke will always be the number one TV
Yeah, but
draw.
number one guys don't need that. Again, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper playing at Rutgers University. How many national games did they have?
I probably hurt them money-wise. I mean, Zion and Cooper
Why? They're
Flagg.
still going to go in the top 5. What does it matter?
Well, I think Cooper has made much more in NIL than those guys. That's what I'm saying.
Well, those guys only went to Rutgers because of
NIL.
But Cooper obviously made more. I think Cooper was. I saw $6 million, not $4 million last year.
Okay, but he could be one of one. These other guys are still getting paid a lot, and they don't need the Duke machine to get them drafted.
Saying, if all things are equal, and Duke has a ton of money, if all things are equal, would you maybe if it's an equal playing field where everybody can offer $5 million or $8 million for the best guy, would you lean Duke over another program? I think you will. I think they'll still get massive recruits. And by the way, I saw something on their NIL fund. They are not hurting. They're going to get a lot of players.
I'm sure. 888-710-4ISN. Bogusch has headlines for us. Hello.
Guys, by no means is this the most important thing this morning, but I'm playing it now for my mental health.
Vesia deals in the pitch. Blasted high and deep left field, and that is gone. Castellanos greets Vesia with his 8th career grand slam.
I was basically bullied into giving you the Phillies score. Scott Fransky on Phil's radio. Nick Castellanos, the grand slam, gave Philly a big early lead that they squandered. They took the rubber game with the Dodgers 8-7 on an RBI fielder's choice in the 7th. Now, before that loss, LA put lefty Blake Snell on the IL with shoulder inflammation. The Red Sox thumped the Cardinals 18-7 on Sunday Night Baseball to sweep 2 at Fenway and extend their winning streak to 5. Rafael Devers 4 for 4, drove in 3 and scored 4 times. And Vlad Guerrero Jr. staying in Toronto for a while. It's a record 14-year extension worth $500 million. No deferrals, and because of that, this deal has a higher present-day value than Shohei Ohtani's.
My salary has a higher present-day value than Shohei Ohtani's.
If it does, I quit.
But Juan Soto has no deferrals either, right? So it's not even.
Yeah. So this is now the second biggest guarantee.
Is this his second biggest contract? Okay.
Right. But Ohtani's says $700 million, but it's only like $480 because of all the deferrals. This is straight up $500 mil.
I'm surprised it was, 270-something million less than Soto?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I know that Vlad Guerrero's not the player that Soto is, but they're both not great fielders. They're both not great base runners. It's just Soto's had way more success and is 1 year younger. That's a $200 million difference. I was surprised it was that big.
I mean, it just be me. I think the body type also has something to do with that.
Oh, Vlad's a little...
Is he going to break down as he gets older?
Yeah, I
don't know. They're supposed to have for 14 years.
Yeah, but it's not as much money. But you're right. It's 14 years, but it's not as much money.
That's
Dude
true.
just made $500 million. We're talking like they got a bargain. That is a big number.
Yeah, but you got to take, the Canadian exchange rate and all that stuff. It's really like $4.96 or something.
You include the tariffs, and that changes everything.
Sheesh. I'm surprised he signed this.
Hopefully men's March Madness has a more dramatic finish than the women's finale yesterday afternoon. UConn with that 82-59 destruction of South Carolina in Tampa for the 12th title in program history, but the first in 9 years. Dawn Staley, very blunt in defeat.
We lost to a very, very good basketball team. They beat our ass, but they didn't make us like it.
23 points, matching the third largest margin of victory in women's title game.
I've never seen someone take an ass whooping worse than Dawn Staley on that bench yesterday.
She will not give an inch, And obviously she was very deferential. UConn was a great team, but yeah.
During the game, it was like they're down 21 and a mistake happens, and she's still acting like the game is on the line. She's like, what the hell are we doing? She was incredulous at the loss yesterday.
No, she and Geno have a big rivalry.
Yeah, she doesn't not like losing to that man.
Steph Curry scored just 3 points last night. The Warriors' 5-game win streak ending with a 106-96 home loss to the Rockets.
Tonight's it was a rough night all the way around. They played great. We had some moments, but got to maintain the confidence that we're building towards our best selves come playoff time.
Man, NBA late season action. Just catch it. It's awesome.
Curry shot 1 for 10 after scoring
awesome. What do you mean?
125 points over his previous 3 games. Golden State is currently 6th in the West, winning a 3-way tie with Minnesota and Memphis. The Kings were 120-113 winners in Cleveland, making the Cavs wait to clinch number 1 in the East. Sacramento up to 9th in the West, a half game ahead of Dallas. And the Pacers gave the Nuggets their 4th loss in a row, 125-120 in Denver. The Nugs now a game and a half behind the Lakers for the 4 seed. The Montreal Canadiens pushed their win streak to 5-2-1 in Nashville. They have a 6-point lead now on the field for the last wild card spot in the East. And Messi scored in first half stoppage time as Inter Miami drew 1-1 with Toronto. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thanks. Everyone is asking the wrong question about Geno Auriemma and UConn. We'll tell you what the right question to be asking is on the day after they won the national championship. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business.
Actually got some music news for you in just a moment, but I'll get to the question that nobody is asking about Geno Auriemma and UConn after they won their 12th national title. We'll get to that in a second because everyone's got this conversation all wrong. James is in LA, though, wants to weigh in our question. How far could Shedeur Sanders fall after the Browns are now leaning, according to reports, leaning towards Travis Hunter, and the Giants could have Abdul Carter just sitting right there? James, what do you think, sir?
Hey, what's up, people? Love the show as always. Yeah, I was going to say, if they followed my Raiders at 6, would they still take a chance on them? I know the relationship between him and Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady's been teaching him throws since he was, 5 or 6 years old? So there is a relationship there. That doesn't mean he's going to take him, though. So I'm wondering if he falls there, would he be there for the future? And also, Maggie, I'm with you. Godfather 2 is probably the best movie I can think of. And in that case, is it better than the original one? Because the original one is based kind of on a true story. You know, Johnny Fontaine is supposed to be Frank Sinatra and all of that, and it goes down the line. But also, Godfather 2, Meyer Lansky is supposed to be the guy that was helping him.
Yeah, Hyman Roth was supposed to be Meyer Lansky. All that stuff with Cuba, like that stuff, loosely, obviously based on a true story.
Is it better than the original?
I don't think so. I think the original, Brando's iconic, and it's first.
Right. But this is the only time you get De Niro and Pacino in a movie other than Heat that I see. And these are two of the greatest actors, in my opinion, of the last 50 years, you know.
I mean, it's funny. You get iconic lines in both, right? Because you got the, leave the gun, cannoli, take the cannolis from the first one. And then the second one is, Fredo, I knew it was you and you broke my heart.
Yeah. To me, it's the more we talk about it, it's Godfather 1.
Because of Brando? But,
wow.
But to James's point, you get De Niro and Pacino.
The book is basically Godfather 1. It's like there was Mario Puzo's original book. It was just perfect from start to finish. You had James Caan.
Yes.
I just think
he's only in half the movie,
though. Tessio. Oh, my God. You had so many amazing.
Sleeps with the Fishes. That's
I mean, Godfather 2 is incredible. For me, Godfather 1, and again, going back to the whole debate, the first one gets you a little more credit because it was first. You're building off of it. So maybe that's maybe that's not fair.
But one of the guys that taught all of them was the guy that played what's his name? The minor Lasky character.
Hyman
He
Roth.
taught them. Yeah. He taught them in real life.
Lee Strasberg.
He was this, Lee Strasberg.
Yeah.
He was this iconic actor guy. So
He's the
they
coach,
looked up to him. They looked up to him as far as teaching, man. So I don't know. It's a story going back and forth. But
No, it's a good debate.
I
You know
think
who else is in it? The guy who played Junior Soprano, I believe, is in Godfather too.
Dominic Chianese,
I think he has a role. We've got to double check that. So,
And Danny Aiello's in Godfather 1. So he's the
Is
one
he
that
really?
choked out. He's the one that choked out. What's the guy's name? He choked him and
Talia Shire's husband. Yep.
Yeah. He had that little role of choking out that guy, Tangerine.
There you go, James.
Yeah, James, way to go deep into the IMDb here. Listen, he was mistreating Talia Shire.
Wait, can
So
we
he had
get
it coming?
Sorry. Thank you, James. To answer
James,
the
thank you,
Raiders
sir.
question,
Yeah.
I keep coming back to one thing, and you kind of tried to talk me out of it last week, and you might have been slightly effective. They can't draft Shedeur Sanders at number 6 because they need somebody to either catch the ball or run the ball. You said Tom Brady never had anybody and made them great, but I'm not sure Shedeur is enough. The Raiders cannot take Shedeur Sanders because they need that pick at so many other positions. They're so thin. It's not just their skill position. They could use all kinds of – they need defensive players too. They need everything. So to take Shedeur, the opportunity cost is gigantic.
Yeah, so what I was saying is that before Tom Brady got Randy Moss, like he really, no disrespect to Deion Branch and Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and Corey Dillon or whatever, but like it's not like Belichick put all these amazing receivers. Brady made these guys amazing.
But he didn't even make them amazing.
He made them serviceable winners. He made them champions. How about that? Except for Gronkowski, who's obviously going to walk into the Hall of Fame.
And they have Brock Bowers. I just think that this particular team, they're going to sit at number 6. If you take Shedeur, you're really thin on talent, and you don't have a lot around Shedeur.
Yeah, and listen, they signed Geno, so they've got Geno as like the stopgap. I couldn't see them also taking Ashton Jeanty. I don't think that Brady's going to go that high with a running back. I don't. And even though Pete Carroll had a lot of success with Marshawn Lynch, who was obviously traded over from Buffalo, right? Was it Buffalo to Seattle or Buffalo to Oakland to Seattle?
Buffalo, Seattle.
Buffalo, Seattle, right. So he obviously understands how effective and how much a running back can change your team, but I don't see them taking Jeanty that high. I think they're going to go more trenches and something probably a little bit more boring, or Shedeur.
You're pretty confident Jeanty will be there.
At 6?
Yeah, I mean, Jeanty is not, according to most draft people, don't think he's getting out of the top 10. So Jacksonville 5 could be in the Jeanty business.
I'll tell you who I think is the Shedeur, the secret Shedeur team, and it's not so secret. It's EJ's New York Jets. I don't think they can help themselves. They keep saying all these nice things about Justin Fields, and that's fine, and they gave him $30 million, which is not much for a quarterback, but I think they can't help it. There is something about their ownership where they love the drama, the circus, the shiny object, whatever you want to call Shedeur. And he's also a great player, so it's not just that, but they're tantalized by the fame. It's just who the Jets are.
I have trouble seeing that because Justin Fields is $20 million this year. Not a lot of money, you're right. But I feel like they're excited about Justin Fields. Maybe it's because most of the Jets fans in my life are like, yeah, let's give this a shot. So I don't know. Is Shedeur a better prospect than Justin Fields at 25? How old is Justin Fields? 25, 26?
Yeah, I think he's 26.
Yeah, I don't totally see it.
I think they would love this idea. All of a sudden, that would become one of the biggest stories in the NFL. This training camp battle or whatever between Shedeur and Fields, or maybe Fields just starts and Shedeur sits. But even still, then it's like, all right, if Fields struggles, when does Shedeur get in? I think the Jets love this. They would love it. They would love it. And I think they'll convince themselves that their defense is good, and they've already got skill position players, and they've got the 3-headed monster running back room, and like. They're talking about trading away Breece Hall. They think they're good on skill position players. So you're going to take, a tight end? Like,
Oh, man. Yes. If you get Tyler Warren there. Yeah, I mean, I guess, it just feels funny to me that the Jets would go in on Shedeur. 23 years old. You got to play him really soon. Do they have enough talent around him? I think that's a good question.
I mean, listen, they should probably spend it on an offensive lineman, but they would be the talk of the draft if they got Shedeur. And I think that matters to them because they're a poorly run organization.
But I know how EJ feels because you're sick of them drafting guys who aren't going to start.
Yep.
I think Jets fans would be what's the word? Apoplectic? Help me out here. They would be upset.
Yeah,
they would
more
be
than
upset.
they already are. That's just the current state. That's homeostasis for Jets fans. Just pissed.
That's the only quarterback who would get booed at the draft.
No.
I think the Jets, they would not like this.
I think the Jets, they can't help themselves. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So much to do, including tonight's national championship game and more.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
On top it goes to Sarah Strong. Backdoor. Becker's cutting down the lane. Hammered, flipped it in, and one. It has been UConn's night. And Paige Becker's going to the line. A chance for a three-point play. The Connecticut lead is 28.
Thank you to the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. And it was an absolute just demolishing of South Carolina, which is not what we were expecting. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. For Geno Auriemma, it's his 12th national title, Perloff, so that passes UCLA as a men's program. John Wooden won 10 of the 11 titles, so Geno now himself just passes UCLA as head coach. Paige Beckers gets her first. AZ Fudd is player of the tournament, and Sarah Strong now one of the great freshman performances. And we think of all the incredible freshmen who have played for UConn. She's now in that conversation. Just dominance here by UConn in the title.
Yeah,
title
back.
Yeah.
Back. How many years has it been since
2016 was the last championship.
Yeah. It's funny because Dawn Staley is a god where I'm from in Philadelphia.
Sure.
I came into that game. I'm like, well, I've been saying, I think I said to you, I'm like, no one's beating South Carolina. They're just too South Carolina-y, whatever that is.
Okay.
They're just too tough, mentally tough like their coach. Well, they just weren't even in the game.
No, and UConn plays so fast, and it was just if Paige is going to play that well, and AZ Fudd is going to play that well, and Sarah Strong, you're toast. It was just too much for South Carolina to overcome. They're not going anywhere. UConn's not going anywhere. And the women's game is in really good hands. There wasn't as much buzz this time around as there was when Caitlin was in college, but still a good tournament. Yeah. I think if Juju Watkins had not gotten hurt, that UConn USC game is a lot more interesting.
I think you need star power. Look at the NBA. That's the star-driven league.
Yep.
So Juju Watkins going down, I don't think you can underestimate the impact of that.
No, it was huge.
Yeah.
I guess the other part, too, is I don't know, and I think college basketball fans have kind of the casual fan. I'm not saying the diehards. Yeah. The casual fan, which is what you need when you're getting to these big ratings numbers and stuff like that. I think the casual fan got a little tired of UConn, because the explosion of the sport, granted, UConn has helped the sport a lot, but the explosion of the sport really happened when someone else was taking different turns. So we're talking about Caitlin and what she did at Iowa. We're talking about Angel Reese winning a title at LSU. We're talking about Dawn Staley. We're talking about Juju Watkins coming on the scene for USC. Other people and other programs had a huge hand in this sort of exponential up and to the right, kind of, if you will, like growth of women's college sports. And I don't know if UConn now being back at the top of the mountain makes people, eyes glaze over, because I think everyone likes Paige Beckers and was following her story very closely. But it's kind of like business as usual with UConn.
But wait, I don't understand that because you said 2016 was their last title.
But they've made the Final Four almost every time since.
Well, right, but the sport exploded in 23, right? That's the big jump. And so I'm not sure. I don't totally buy that. It felt like it was more it was more Caitlin.
Caitlin and Angel. But that's what I'm wondering, if UConn being back at the top of the mountain, do you get college? Again, the casual fan, the diehard fan will always be there. Do you get the casual fan who's like, oh, all right, we're back to UConn.
But they're still sharing the top of the mountain with South Carolina, right? I mean, it's not like South Carolina has gone away.
No, they haven't. But yesterday, that was a beatdown.
Yeah, that's one game. Do you really think that UConn's going to go on the same kind of role they had 10 years ago?
Well, I'm watching
Or
Sarah
50
Strong,
years
and
ago?
she's not going anywhere. And
Yeah.
AZ Fudd's coming back, and if she stays healthy and strong, I mean, it's still UConn. They there's a reason why they were the program for as long as they were.
Yeah, but it feels like, just to me, I mean, there's no way they're going on that kind of run that they had before. Not in today's college basketball world. You think they are? So that's interesting to me that you think that they could back to where they were in 2007 or something.
No, listen, there's a lot more parity in the sport for sure, and I think that's helped it. And I do just think it helped. And this happens in all sports, by the way. I don't think it's just UConn. When you have these dynasties and these dominant teams, people love it. Then they kind of want to see them lose, and the love doesn't stay with you forever. There's always a little bit of a backlash, and the sport got really reached new heights it had never reached before when UConn wasn't winning the title. And that's just a fact. 888-710-4ISN.
I don't accept that fact because I think your timing's right. I just think then the explosion would have happened a little bit. You're telling me that this all happened because UConn wasn't dominant. I don't totally see that narrative. Just the timing, I think, because it would have maybe exploded a little earlier. South Carolina didn't do anything for the sport. I mean, it didn't explode because South Carolina got really good.
No, I think it really exploded because Caitlin and Angel.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was because it's not UConn. And yeah, I understand. Like, you couldn't have had Caitlin and Angel if UConn was winning 200 straight games. But I don't think that it was it's like the NFL got really popular because of parity. I don't think that's exactly what happened here with college basketball. I think the players stay, unlike the men's game.
That's true.
So we know them, and I think this tournament was educational. I don't think the rating was going to be massive yesterday because you don't have the star power. You had Paige, but you needed Juju Watkins. Actually plays like a star. Like, she's on a team where they have one other good player, but you need a singular force like her, I think, to really catch eyeballs.
I think a lot of people thought it was Paige, but and Paige has been a phenom since high school, but she doesn't I think that she is respected. What she's gone through, her injuries, all of that she's come back, and people are happy for her that she won a national title finally. She is not captivating people like Caitlin and Angel did, though, right?
I even think Juju's more exciting than
Juju.
Paige because she's sort of, she's just got such star power on the court. Paige plays part of, I think, and we've talked about this too, if you're on the UConn women, you have to share the ball a little bit.
Totally. They got amazing players at almost every position.
There are other stars where Juju is, she's going to take the ball every time, and it's amazing to watch.
EJ, you want to get in on this conversation?
Just a question I wanted to ask you guys is, do you feel like this explosion would have happened in women's college basketball if Caitlin Clark would have went to UConn?
No.
Yeah, she would have to share the ball. Never would have happened.
Why? You think so?
I don't know. I think there's a chance, only because I feel like while, yes, so much of it was her scoring a lot of points, I still think there's a novelty of seeing this little girl who's not actually little, but she looks little to everyone watching on TV, run around taking 30-footers. And I think that
would she been allowed to take those?
I think she's going to take deep threes still. She may not be taking as many.
She had the green light coming over a half court on that team. I don't think she would have been able to do it.
I think Geno is, who am I to say him? He's a very smart basketball coach.
You think?
I think he would see Caitlin Clark and say, okay, like, I'm going to have to give her a lot more rope than I gave maybe some other girls. And to be fair, like Diane Taurasi was like a 22, 23-point scorer. It wasn't like he hasn't had big-time scorers. Like, Maya Moore was a big-time scorer as well. So I feel like Caitlin may have went there, and maybe she's not averaging 30, but if she's averaging 20, still shooting from the logo, I think that still resonates with people.
But she was joining a team
with in a row.
Wasn't she joining a team with? Was it? I don't know the timing. Paige Beckers was already there.
Yeah. They're the same. They're in the same. Yeah,
I mean, she was Player of the Year. Paige Beckers still would have been the 1A. She was a much bigger recruit. I imagine.
Not really.
Paige Beckers was not a bigger recruit than Caitlin Clark?
You said much better. I said Caitlin was like a top 5 recruit in her class. She was
but
a 4th.
Paige was generational.
Right. Number 1 versus number 4 is not much better.
But she would have had to share the ball.
I just think that part of the Caitlin story was also taking a team that had never even sniffed that kind of success. The Iowa women's basketball program, forgive me, I'm not a historian on Hawkeyes women's hoops before Caitlin got there, but had never reached that kind of success, right?
Yeah.
I do think that's part of it. It's like she kind of took a different lane and a different path, and she raised a program, and UConn that's a house that 1 million people built.
Well,
you're never going to be as good as Maya Moore, or you're never going to be as good as Diana Taurasi, or you're never going to be as beloved as Sue Bird, or whatever. You could just insert, Swin Cash, whoever you want in there. It's just legend after legend.
But could you argue that it's kind of like Steph Curry if he had got to the finals twice? How big would that have been?
At Davidson, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would. Again, I think that's a huge part of it.
That's what I mean. Right. But you're never going to be able to do she was such a unique phenomenon because I think if she went to UConn, she would have had to share the ball with Paige Beckers and all these other people. We could ask. I guess we could ask Geno, would you have let her shoot all those times from out there?
He'd never answer.
Steph Curry was unique because he was at Davidson. If he was at Duke, he'd be Seth. Better Seth.
Better Seth Curry.
Seth was pretty good.
I will push back on that only because we talk about how much, and you said it, Pearl, how the Duke brand raises anybody that puts on that blue and white
profile. Yeah.
Right. So maybe Duke is the wrong thing, but if Steph Curry was playing for Duke, there was a little light-skinned kid that's Del Curry's son that was shooting from 30 playing for Duke.
What are you talking about? They had all kinds of shooters like that. They had
J.J.
Redick and Trajan
Langdon. J.J. Redick was a college megastar. That's
my
point. Right. So imagine if Stephen Curry was doing that for Duke. And
he'd be like one of the biggest college stars of all time.
He'd be bigger than he was at Davidson.
But the story would have been different.
Story would have been different. He's not the underdog.
Story would have been different.
No, but in my hypothetical there, Steph Curry gets to 2 finals like Caitlin Clark. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I think that Caitlin was, and with Angel and mixed in, was such a unique phenomenon. But the sport was poised for it. I don't even know how we got here. My other question, too, is what is it moving forward?
So here's my one thing about Geno Auriemma moving forward. So now he's got 12 titles. He's past John Wooden, who won 10 of UCLA's 11. And Geno's got 12. Now, nobody is talking about this, whether or not he might retire. It's been 40 years now for Geno. He still looks young, acts young, all of that. And he's got Sarah Strong now as just coming off this amazing freshman year. So I don't know if he wants to leave now. But what happens after he retires, like we just watched with John Shire, this is going to be one of the most interesting handoffs of any program ever. Geno, there 40 years, all the success. So that's going to be an interesting thing to look out for. But
kind of John Wooden-esque.
But here's the thing. I don't think talking about who the greatest college coach of all time is for the big sports, basketball and football, I don't even think we're ever going to have that conversation again because of NIL. Because it's not about the coaching as much anymore. It's about the money now. So even if you are an all-time, I know, wink, wink. But even if you are an all-time great coach, now it's just, who's offering the most money and who can collect the most, who can build the best team in terms of the GMs and stuff and with whatever money you have as opposed to the coach. The recruiting is over. We just talked about this. The mystique of these programs doesn't matter as much anymore. Maybe for Duke, I guess, but we asked this question about North Carolina. What's going on with the Tar Heels? What happens when Bill Self retires from Kansas? What happens with Kentucky? All these blue blood programs, you're no longer going and sitting in the living room and having to convince someone's grandma that I'm going to be the best, I'm going to take care of your son or your daughter. It's about money now. So I think these greatest of all time coaching conversations are basically over. It's gonna sound silly as we move forward because it's all about money.
Yeah, but the way college basketball works, you don't want those high-end, expensive recruits. You want a team that's going to stick around forever. So I'm sorry, I keep getting it. It's a Jay Wright model. You want non-NBA players who are going to play forever.
But in the Jay Wright model, Jalen Brunson may not have stayed. You know what I'm saying?
Come on. That team, I'm saying that team did not have high. He was a second-round pick. He did not have high. No, Jalen Brunson, he definitely would have stayed.
I don't know if
who needs Brunson.
You can get into the portal and maybe Bridges doesn't stay
at Villanova.
Yeah, stay at Villanova. I'm saying you're saying you can keep these teams together. I don't know if you can.
You have to have old teams to win. I keep getting back to this,
but honestly, not together teams necessarily. They could be old, but just someone transfer from here and someone transfer from here.
But getting back to the coaching thing, I think coaching is super important in college basketball right now because you're not going to be able to overwhelm them with NBA talent like Pete Calipari. It's just not going to happen because of what you're describing. So now you're going to the better coach teams are probably going to advance. I think coaching might be more important in a way because it's not about talent anymore. It's not about the Cooper Flaggs and the Dylan Harpers and the Ace Baileys. It's about the guys who stick around and play great defense and are team players and do all these different things and how the pieces fit. That feels more like coach stuff to me.
Okay, but what's the main reason why guys stick around?
Well,
money.
No, because they're not
around.
NBA talents. Those guys are all there. Houston and Florida, because they're not big-time NBA talents. That's why they're sticking around. Otherwise, they'd want to get into that crazy NBA contract situation.
Sure, that's fine. But I'm just saying LJ Cryer, right?
Yeah, right.
Why is he at Houston and not at Gonzaga? Money. Like the reason why he's still there, it's still always the money. That's what I'm saying.
Well, he was at Baylor.
Yeah.
I mean, he already transferred once. He's played 2 years at Houston. I'm not sure.
When he's leaving Baylor, why Houston and not somewhere else?
Money. But he didn't. First of all, LJ Cryer wasn't that expensive. It's not like Cooper Flagg.
I'm just making the point. You were talking about how you win now. Older guys with a commitment to play with each other in defense. But
I don't think Houston bought this team. That's the thing. Like, this is not. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe
every team is bought.
But that's if that's the case, then what's the distinguishing thing between all these teams?
You could then give the credit to Kelvin Sampson, but I think the credit really goes to the collective.
I don't think so, because I see Rutgers spent a ton of money this year and barely was above 500. Were they even above 500?
Yeah.
No, I think you have more parity than ever, which means the coaches probably become a bigger factor, but you're not going to out-talent anyone because of the transfer portal, the talent's spread out. So that I would argue, I think Danny Hurley's an all-time coach. I think this is his era in a sense, because he's not going to. There's going to be enough parity that his discipline and the way he sort of coaches those guys is going to make a big difference.
I'm telling you, the one thing that nobody is talking about, but the college coaches are talking about it quite a bit. And when Kevin Willard left Maryland, he basically kind of didn't just hint at this; he said it. The Big East coaches that many believe are going to be at this amazing advantage now that they didn't have before, because they don't have to split their revenue with football. So the St. John's and the Villanovas and now, all these Creighton, all these Big East teams who there's not a football program in sight that actually matters. They're going to be at this, in UConn, they're going to be at this massive, I know UConn does have football, but, the basketball's the main thing.
Yeah.
Apparently the SEC coaches are complaining about it, which is rich, but still.
I don't know. I think for example, LJ Cryer, it doesn't feel like, man, Houston just bought this team. It feels like they're really well coached, really disciplined, they're all for one for all. It also feels to me that you need, with this NIL era, you need a great coach to get these guys who are getting paid money to really focus on what's important, which is the team, and not be looking ahead to the NBA. I don't know. I think coaching is always big in college, more so than the NBA, because the NBA, the guys are older. For example, coaching LeBron's 40. He's a coach in his own right.
Yeah.
That's what I still think it's very important. I understand what you're saying. NIL has had a massive, massive impact on the game. It's going to spread the talent out. You're not going to have John Wooden. John Wooden had I would say probably the most expensive team every year.
Yeah, right.
I mean, honestly, that's naive to not think that money has had a huge factor in who's good in college sports.
You're absolutely right. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Okay, so we're talking a little about the future of college hoops. You also got a national title game tonight, Houston and Florida. Who you got in that one? And Duke's collapse, choke, whatever you want to call it. More on Jon Scheyer, more on the players. Let us know. 888-710-44ISN. Coming up in just a little bit, Andy Katz is going to join us from San Antonio. He's going to be on the call with Westwood One tonight for the men's championship game. Don't move. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Interesting debate in the last segment. In the NIL transfer portal era, will we ever have a dominant coach like Geno Auriemma, John Wooden, Coach K?
Roy Williams.
I mean, maybe I'm naive and maybe I'm too pro, but we could have one in Dan Hurley, possibly. We'll see what UConn does next year. You know, UConn put the possible national champion Florida, took them to the very last minute, and definitely should have won that game. Florida has, I don't know how Florida does this. They make teams panic at the end, but UConn had them, which would have been really interesting. So that's a debate. I kind of think coaching is as important as ever. Maggie says you can buy a championship.
I think the mystique around a lot of these programs is waning. I'm not saying it's gone yet, but if we keep going in this direction, like I'm trying to think 5 years down the line, what's the difference between Duke and SMU? Because whoever has the most money is going to be the one who stands on top.
But the best recruited teams was obviously John Calipari's Kentucky team. They bred every superstar possible, and it only resulted in one title.
That's true. I guess, listen, I don't know if you're ever going to have that team again, because even in the NIL era, and even with all the money in the world, can you get 6 first-round draft picks on one team? I don't know.
You got three top 15 picks on Duke.
But think about it, young. Even with like on those Cal teams, like the 6th man was getting drafted in the top in the lottery.
Ran into the same problem though. The guys did not stick around because they had all that NBA money coming.
That's true. 888-710-4ISN. Also, you're putting Geno Auriemma in the conversation for greatest coach of all time.
College or all sports? What are we doing here?
I mean, artist choice. He's got 12 titles. That certainly gets him in the conversation. College, I feel like, is a no-brainer. You want to go all time?
Yeah, it's funny. It's a Wooden debate, right? John Wooden, maybe Coach K. I don't even know who the competition is. But you don't do John Wooden versus Vince Lombardi. So I want to keep it to college.
Okay. Or just basketball?
Who's the NBA
Because Geno's
guy?
also won 1 million gold medals, too.
Who's the NBA greatest coach or WNBA?
Phil Jackson.
Phil.
Red Auerbach.
Yeah, Red.
Coach, spin doctor, Glenn Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers, the spin doctor himself.
Greatest at winning 3 games in a 4-game
Greatest
series.
regular season coach, Tom Thibodeau.
Well,
All right.
Bogusch has headlines for us.
All
What's
right,
up,
pal.
Bogusch?
Well, speaking of Tibbs,
All right, Poopy.
all is right in the booth to my left because Jalen Brunson was back last night.
Everyone always talks about the physical part, about how you're feeling or whatever, but mentally, just trusting it, trusting your movements, trusting the way you play and everything, not second guessing yourself. And so that was the biggest adjustment, but I'm feeling a lot better.
Brunson, 15 points and 6 assists after missing 15 games with a sprained ankle. The Knicks dumped the Suns last night, 112-98, to clinch their second straight 50-win season, something they hadn't done since the early 90s. Phoenix, meanwhile, now...
Who needs Brunson?
You guys do. Phoenix is now 2.5 games behind the Mavs for the last spot in the West play-in. The Kings' 121-13 win in Cleveland kept the Cavs from clinching number 1 in the East and eliminated the Blazers from playoff contention. And the Celtics hammered the Wizards 124-90. Derek White scored 19, 20 off the bench for Peyton Pritchard.
20.5 point spread, by the way.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays are keeping their marriage going. It's a reported 14-year extension worth $500 million. No deferrals and a full no-trade clause for the 26-year-old four-time All-Star. The UConn women are national champs for the first time in 9 years, the 12th time overall. This is how Paige Beckers wanted to end her college career.
Can't even put it into words how much this means to me. Like, the journey has been the reward, and to cap it off with something like this that we'll remember forever, it's just, you can't even put it into words how much this means. You're just in a full state of gratitude.
That's Paige on the Westwood One NCAA radio network after the 82-59 rout of South Carolina in Tampa. She scored 17. AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong each had 24. And finally, guys, let's hear a man's brain melt live on TV.
Cluck, cluck on the outside. Quick, quiet, cluck, cluck. They meet again. Coming to the final furlong. Quick, quiet, cluck, cluck. Cluck, cluck, quick, quiet, just holding, cluck, cluck, still charging, quick, quiet, cluck, on the outside, quick, quiet, cluck, quick, quiet, cluck, quick, quiet.
Manny swears that's real.
Is that Dr. Seuss calling a horse race?
That's apparently a guy named Dave Rodman. It was a race over the weekend at Laurel Park in Maryland. Quit Quai beating Cluck Cluck. I swear that
amazing.
There's video.
That's awesome.
That might be the best broadcaster of all time. Just
and then
technically. He died. And now he has no frontal lobe. That's incredible commitment. I mean, to be able to keep that
and
going.
No accidental cursing. Like, he didn't stumble into a bad word or something, just that shouldn't be on the air. I don't know. I don't know.
Quiet and Cluck Cluck, man.
Yeah. Good for them.
I almost want it. Can I just hear it again? It's just so good.
Cluck, cluck on the outside. Quick, quiet, cluck, cluck. They meet again. Coming to the final furlong. Quick, quiet, cluck, cluck. Cluck, cluck, quick, quiet, just holding, cluck, cluck, still charging, quick, quiet, cluck, on the outside, quick, quiet, cluck, quick, quiet, quick, quiet.
He almost lost it there for a second.
That one cluck almost got him.
Almost lost it, and he got it back. Oh, that's just beautiful.
I don't want to tell Dave how to do his job because clearly he knows how to do it. But in that situation, don't you have to just pick one of the horses and just have that be the focal point of your call?
Bogue, this is theater of the mind, man. He's got to give you cluck, cluck.
No, it's on TV. I can watch Quick, Quiet, and Cluck, Cluck go nose to nose down in the last furlong.
I mean, it's beautiful. He should win some kind of award for that.
Does he practice? Do you guys know, this is such a dad, the Fox and Socks with Dr. Seuss's tongue twister book? Have you ever tried to do that without cursing? Maggie, you nailed it. It is bad. Fox and Socks. Oh, God. It's the worst.
You just had a flashback on live radio.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at the lines. This is bad. There's so many words that begin with, I don't know.
We're picking
just
up what you're
them.
putting down. And then all of a sudden you're cursing in front of your 6-year-old.
Yeah, no, I can't actually say this because I'm terrible with these things. But
that is just so impressive.
It's not just the word you think it is. There's a lot of other words that are. Dr. Seuss was a sicko, quietly.
That is so good. Like, what is more impressive as a broadcaster, to be able to do that quick, quiet, cluck, cluck, and just like beautifully call that to the end, or if someone has like a great call, like I've been listening to all the Ovechkin calls, whether it was Capitals Radio, Capitals TV, Kenny Albert on the national broadcast with TNT. They are all so good. But what's better, to be able to have that skill of the tongue twister and never lose it, or just find the words for the moment?
This I think is better. Like the ability to do all of that rapid fire and not pass out, I think is the bigger.
Yeah, you are a play-by-play man, Bogusch.
No, not anymore.
Well, yeah, horse racing is a different animal. Oh
Yes.
my God.
Literally.
See what you did there.
Technically, yes.
Yeah, technically a different animal.
Than hockey.
Yes. Who do you think had the best OV call?
I have no. I did
you
not
didn't
sit
listen
around.
to all of them?
No, it's. I had other stuff going on.
Like what?
I was just happy that both Kenny Albert and Joe Beninati on Capitals TV, they both stopped
Got to do
talking.
it.
Well, they both had to do it. They both stopped talking. Like, they called it. It was done. It was natural. It wasn't. I don't think either one of them had a predetermined thing to throw in there. And then they were just quiet.
Yeah,
and they
well,
let
you have
us
to
watch.
be on TV.
But not some guys like to talk.
Oh, I know. Tony Romo has jumped over more Nance calls. It's such a bummer. No, everyone understood the assignment. Kenny Albert just did the number twice.
Yeah.
Right, saying 895. And I like Joe Beninati's because he's got his classic fires and scores, like that's his thing.
Yes.
And it was an all timer. So There you go. Thank you for that, Bogusch. Made us smile this morning. Let's head to San Antonio, shall we, and check in with one of our absolute favorites. Does such a phenomenal job covering college hoops on Westwood One for this tournament and so many other places. Andy Katz, good enough to join the show and get up early for us. Andy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're fantastic. Before we can look ahead to tonight, though, let's go back to what we saw in the Final Four. Can you put Duke's collapse into perspective for us? What did you see? You're right there courtside, and just what does this mean globally for Duke?
Well, I've done this a long time, covered every Final Four since '92 that there's been one. Obviously, there wasn't in 20, and I don't remember comeback, collapse, whatever you want to call it, meltdown to this extreme. We've seen stuff like this in the regular season, but not necessarily in the postseason. But I also think that as much as Duke contributed, I think we have to really shift the focus to how much Houston won it. They're not 19. They're 19-1 for a reason in the Big 12. They didn't lose a road game in the Big 12, which is amazing when you think about it. That they won so many road games, all of them, in a conference like that. They actually only lost one game this season in regulation. Really remarkable job by Kelvin Sampson. Actually, that's who I voted for National Coach of the Year. This team, the toughness, the will, the ability to just make things happen late, the way they just swarmed on the inbounds to suddenly, and I was talking to Emmanuel Sharp yesterday for Westwood One, when they made those last two shots and he made one of the threes, there was no hesitation because they were taking them as if they were at the buzzer, even though his shot wasn't. But they were ready, set, got the ball, knew where their feet were, and launched it off the sort of frenetic turnover. And then look, sometimes you get lucky. The over the back ball and flag, that goes their way. Then, prior to that, Proctor misses the free throw. And then at the other end, you've got Jawan Roberts, who is a roughly 60% free throw shooter and doesn't consistently hit back-to-back. He hits the first. You see him trying to calm the crowd down and himself. And then he hits the second and essentially wins the game. So, those kinds of things all happened in their favor. The one bow I'll put on is that, and it's interesting, during our coverage, I interviewed Hakeem Olajuwon, which was pretty cool. And, I was thinking back after that, he was in 3 straight Final Fours. Didn't win any of them. 83, of course, you know what happens with NC State. He's the MVP. They don't win. They lose at the buzzer, and he comes back in that era, and they lose again in 84 to Georgetown and Patrick Ewing. And so you think about, if we were in that era, then Duke would come back next year with Cooper Flagg, with Con Knipple, and, try to win it. But the difference here is we're in an era where you get one shot with these specific teams. That's it. And so that's what's haunting, I think, for them, is that this will be something they'll remember forever, that it was so close to attaining.
Yeah, what does this do, Andy, for Cooper Flagg's college basketball legacy?
Well, look, you can't take away that he had a historic freshman season. Very few freshmen, obviously, get to complete what he was attempting to do. I mean, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking of 2. Carmelo Anthony was just getting into the Hall of Fame. He did it in 2003 as a freshman. Anthony Davis in 2012 did it as a freshman, leading Kentucky to the title. And he was trying to do that as a freshman, lead his team to the national championship. I mean, someone as great as Kevin Durant, who was player of the year, he didn't do it. Didn't get them to the Final Four. So it's pretty rare to do what he was attempting to do. And I think the frustration that will live forever is just how close they were. Now, obviously, you could win this game and not win tonight. That's happened plenty of times. These unbelievable semifinal games. Like, think back to Wisconsin in 2015, where they ended Kentucky's 38-0 season, and they were going to win a national championship, historic run, and they run into Duke and Grayson Allen in the last 5 minutes and don't complete it. So you can win, this epic semifinal, and that's what we'll see tonight. Does Houston complete it? After the comeback that they just had, and also go back to the Sweet 16 where they had to have this inbounds play where Milo Susan gets the ball back and then converts and beats Purdue, essentially close to the buzzer. So they've now had 2 games like that in this run to a potential title.
Andy Katz is joining us. You can listen to the coverage on Westwood One. Also doing work for the digital side for NCAA.com. And as he said, is just, covered every Final Four. And Andy, you've forgotten more college hoops than we'll ever know. Looking ahead to tonight, it's going to be hard, obviously. You never know who the star is going to be. You never know who's going to be that one guy who stands out or a couple guys. But obviously, Walter Clayton Jr. has really taken this tournament by storm. I'm going to put it to you this way. Who do you think has the most to gain tonight? If you want to say who's got the most pressure on them, you could put it that way. But if there's one individual who has the most to gain in the championship game, whether it's a player or a coach, who do you think it is?
Well, it's interesting you say that because as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about this, and I hadn't thought about this in the last 24 hours. I do think that if Florida loses, but loses like late, Walter Clayton Jr. could do what Hakeem did, which is be the MVP of the Final Four without winning it, because he was the best player, in the 2 games. Maybe not the best talent, but he was the best player on Saturday night. And, he has, there's no question, he's put himself into the first round. We'll see how high he goes. But, 2 years ago, he was playing in Iona for Rick Pitino. He's Player of the Year in the MAC. And, of course, you can go from the MAC to the NBA, but it's not a straight path. And, what he's done, so far, there's no question, I think, that he's an NBA player, and he can continue that legacy and to cap it with a title tonight. I mean, I just don't think that we would see anyone off of Houston benefit to that degree. I mean, LJ Cryer could have a great game, but he's just not. He's a notch below Walter Clayton Jr. Not to give bulletin board material, but I think Clayton Jr. is a little better and has had a better year overall. Obviously, all American. So I think he has the most to gain individually. But I will say this, that this would be a pretty fitting cap potentially to Kelvin Sampson's career, which I think ultimately will end up in the Hall of Fame. He's going for win number 800 tonight. This is his 3rd Final Four, 1 at Oklahoma, 2 at Houston. And if he wins the championship, he didn't say this yesterday, but I would not be shocked. I mean, I tried to get this out of him, and I didn't, but I tried. If he wins it tonight, I wouldn't, Kellen Sampson's going to take over, his son. I wouldn't be shocked if they announced some sort of succession plan, like with an actual date. And look, it's worked at places like Purdue, obviously Duke, to have that coach in waiting, to know that you're going to have this plan, because they've got a great recruiting class coming in. So if you know that Kelvin will be there for at least a year, maybe 2, whatever it's going to be, but this is the plan officially for a certain date. He's 69 years old, so he's going to be 70 here soon. I would not be surprised if that happens. If Todd Golden wins, then he enters a new realm in coaching, gets that title, and continues a meteoric rise over the last 3 years.
Andy, we're up against a break. If I put you on the spot, who has the coaching edge tonight? It said, you said Sampson would be your coach of the year. Is it therefore Houston, or how would you judge those two against each other?
Yeah, I mean, Sampson has been in more pressure situations. His players respond to his intensity and his passion. and his will. And so, yes, I would definitely give the edge to Kelvin Sampson. The question is, will Houston be able to score well enough to keep up with Florida? They'll defend Florida better than Auburn did, but will they be able to score well enough to keep up? And they just don't want to get in that kind of deep hole against the Gators and come out with the W. So I don't know. I think it's a bit of a toss-up. I don't even know what the line is. I think it's a toss-up. But after what we saw Saturday night, it's hard to predict anything.
Andy Katz, you could listen to on Westwood One's coverage of the championship tonight. Has done a fantastic job on the tournament overall. Also on the digital side for NCAA.com. Andy, thank you so much for doing this. Have fun tonight. Enjoy the game.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. By the way, Andy mentioned Hakeem Olajuwon. I don't know how this ended, but did you see the social media post of some overzealous security person?
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Or not even a security person. It was like someone in a suit with like a headset on wouldn't let Hakeem like onto the court.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
That's not good.
That's not good.
But you know what? I always give the security guys a benefit of the doubt. It's a hard job.
They're under strict orders. Don't let anyone there. But
you know what I keep telling you guys is anybody who works security at sports arena, they should have to take some kind of quiz to know who people are. It doesn't say that if you fail that you don't get to work, but you got to take it again until you pass.
Right, like it's a pop culture and sports quiz, like that guy from the Eagles. Like you have to know who Kevin Hart is to let him up there.
But then you're getting in danger of impersonators. We've seen that. There's nothing funnier when the guy looks like a pro athlete and sneaks in and takes shots. Fake Klay Thompson. That's the guy. Yeah, there's a few of those.
That guy got on the court and chewed around.
Yeah, he broke into the to the Oracle.
But then again, maybe we want to encourage that because they're kind of harmless. If you look enough like a pro athlete to get out into the layup line, then go for it.
Well, by the way, if you look like Hakeem Olajuwon, first you got to be 6'10". Like
true.
All right, I'm out.
People have probably been mistaking you for Hakeem your whole life. 888-710-4ISN. Lots more to do. We got the M&P 500 coming your way. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down after a big weekend? And, of course, what was Deion up to this weekend? Answer, a lot. It's next.
Quick, 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 quick.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Manny? This is Shania. Did you just discover her too?
2 days ago.
Squares. Manny discovering music from the early 2000s or before is one of the great joys of this show. When you discovered ABBA was like a revelation for you.
The best is the 80s, because the 80s, how can you not like 80s music? It's got 100% approval rating.
The baby.
It's so light and fluffy and meaningless that how can you not like it?
Meaningless.
Toto, I mean, like they're basically.
We also had Michael Jackson and Madonna.
Right. And yeah, who doesn't like any of those songs?
Yeah, that's a fair point. You know who has a sneaky amount of hits? This is going to sound stupid. Queen. They have so many hits.
Wow, you know, that's a super hot take. You know who else? Led Zeppelin.
I know. They're one of the great bands of our time. You know, you
they
think
had a
about,
movie.
I know, but the movie stunk. And you think about like Bohemian Rhapsody or whatever. But
that
like,
movie did not stink. You're out of your mind.
Their hits list goes 10, 12 deep.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's go to Jay.
You're out of your mind.
That movie was horrible.
No, that movie was definitely good. Rami Malek was awesome.
No, the movie stunk because it was a Queen's biopic. And why it stunk is because the estate got too involved and they wouldn't actually tell you the real story. It got completely whitewashed and you didn't even get any adversity in the story, like barely. I feel like I didn't know any of the characters any better leaving than when I came in. I learned nothing about Freddie Mercury. I knew he was from Zanzibar. I knew that he had extra teeth.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You like that movie?
Yes, definitely. I thought he did a great Freddie Mercury.
Well,
and
he could be good, but
you
the
said
movie
no
wasn't
adversity. I mean, they very much did a lot of him dying from AIDS.
Well, okay, but there was nothing controversial about that. That was just the fact. Like their rise. Did you notice how they basically glazed over everything? How about Freddie Mercury? Any sniff of drugs? No, nothing.
Yes, are you kidding me? He was walking around his own apartment with a tray full of cocaine, giving it to people.
But
very many sniffs of drugs.
But they never. It was never the dark side of that.
Again, let me ask you, we went over movie genres that Maggie doesn't like. I'm assuming musical biopics is not your favorite.
No, well, I told you I don't like any specific genre. I'm the wrong person. But generally, I like. We talked about Val Kilmer passed away last week. The Doors is a great movie.
Did you like the Dylan movie?
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay, did you like the Johnny Cash movie?
I did. I liked Walk the Line a lot.
I can't believe you did. I liked the Queen movie. I thought it was fine. It's not as good as some of the other ones. The Ray Charles movie, amazing.
That was excellent. Jamie Foxx was excellent. That did he win the Oscar for it? No, or nominated at least. He was so good in that.
I think he won. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. 888-710. Quickly, Jay is in Nashville. Jay, I left you no time. What do you got for us this morning?
Well, once again, Maggie smoking Angel Dust, Holmes. But look, we'll get to that movie was great, but let's get to the nitty gritty. I mean, first of all, that women's championship, it reminded me of KC getting beat down by Philadelphia after winning 2 Super Bowls. So, I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
You're right.
And as far as, and I'm disappointed in the Auburn, I was walking around downtown Nashville with my Auburn shirt on. I even had my Grant Hills on, so I was Auburn up top and Duke at the bottom, and they both, I mean, the way Auburn, I mean, Florida didn't win that. Auburn just gave up the draws, man, for real. They totally gave up the draws. And the same thing with Duke. I mean, Saturday was like a draws liquidation sale. Like, we're giving away draws practically for free. And that's basically what happened in both games.
Jay, I disagree, but I think Florida deserved to win that game. They were the better team. Janai Broome clearly got worn down. He got hurt in the second, more hurt in the second half.
I feel like Auburn had that. I always feel like whoever's playing Florida, I feel like has them. Florida, to their credit, they should not have won some of these games.
Jay, thank you. Again, I said I left you no time, but how about Jay? Auburn shirt, Grant Hill shoes, they both lose. Brutal. Are you the mush?
Grant Hill has shoes? What is it, Grant Hill shoes?
The Filas back in the day.
Oh, he was wearing Filas? Oh, my God.
Coming up, we've got more for you for tonight's national championship game and a thought on Geno Auriemma. Don't move.
Infinity Sports Network.
In it comes to Knipple as coach projected. Over to the left side and Flagg, 13 seconds. Flagg to work against Roberts, trying to back him down. Curls into the paint, fadeaway jumper, short, rebound underneath. Malik Wilson of Houston gives it off. Now to Cryer. Cryer is fouled. 3 seconds to play. Cryer is fouled. He'll march to the other end for 2 free throws.
Thank you to the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network. I know we got the national championship game tonight, but we're still talking about Duke's collapse on Saturday night. Perloff, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. And it was an all-timer. It really was. Duke was up 14 with 8:03 to play, up 9 with 2:06 to play, up 6 with 34 seconds to play. They were outscored 85-8 in the final 8:02 and outscored 9-0 in the final half minute or so. And this is something that I think is going to stay with John Shire much longer than Cooper Flagg, but it's going to stay with both of them. They'll get past it at some point, but they'll never get over it.
Yeah, I mean, is it Chris Webber bad? Chris Webber calling the timeout when he was at Michigan against North Carolina? I don't think, because there's not one moment. What is the moment? The moment almost feels like the ticky-tack over the back call in Cooper Flagg, or maybe Cooper Flagg's last shot that missed. I'm not sure that it's going to go down as, there's not one image that you can stick with. Yeah, it was definitely a choke job. I don't know how history views this. If it sticks as an all-timer, I think you could be right, but I don't think it's as bad as C-Web.
I don't think anything is as bad as C-Web. As far as like one specific thing, I'd have to really think about that. Chris Webber, I think that did follow him through some of his NBA career. I think if you played word association, you say Chris Webber before you say Western Conference Finals with the Sacramento Kings. I think you say timeout.
But he wasn't actually. No, I love Chris Webber, but he wasn't that great in the NBA. If he had won a couple NBA titles, then it would be a different conversation.
Well, if he won a couple NBA titles, I think we'd forget about it, and that's the thing, or we wouldn't think about it as much.
Yeah,
and I think that's where kind of Cooper Flagg, even though it's not a moment, I get what you're saying, and that over-the-back call was absolute BS. But I think this stays with you because you kind of are on one path where people are looking at you as this, like, amazing winner. It's like he's young, and he's player of the year, and he's playing for Duke, and he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, and it's up, 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 and then all of a sudden, it's not just losing. Just losing happens. We see guys lose all the time. It has nothing to do with their NBA futures.
Right.
But losing in this way, in such a memorable collapse, I do think stays with you longer than just... does anyone remember when Kevin Durant lost in the first round of the tournament? Like, not really. But you remember this.
Cooper didn't collapse. It was the whole team, though. That's the thing. And Cooper actually had... If you want to look at an NBA resume game, he went against the Houston Cougars and beat them up for 30 minutes. I mean, he made them look like little kids, and those are grown men. He was amazing on Saturday night. Let's not forget that. I know he missed some shots, but he had some great, great moments.
Yeah, yes,
he's definitely the best player on the court.
No, I don't think he's wearing it individually like Chris Webber did, no doubt. But he also is someone who's projected to be this generational talent in the NBA, and he couldn't put the team on his back when they really needed him.
He scored 27 points against Houston. This is a team that held a very, very good Tennessee team to 50 points. Cooper Flagg had more than half of that on his own.
Perloff, the team had 1 field goal in the last 8 minutes of the game.
I know, but that's not all on Cooper Flagg. I think, obviously, the team did not really have they didn't have a solid point guard. They were kind of a mess.
Yeah, but we weren't saying that when they were the odds-on favorite to win the title.
Right, but I mean, Cooper Flagg was definitely awesome on Saturday night. And everybody who says differently, I just disagree. I think Cooper Flagg had a better tournament than some people expected. He was coming in with the bum ankle, and he didn't dominate every game, but when he wanted to dominate, he was pretty dominant. He's very, very good, obviously. If I'm in the lottery, man, I'm hoping that the commissioner freezes that envelope as they were. It just gets me Cooper Flagg. I think his stock is actually higher after this tournament than it was. Again, he was coming in with a bit of an injury, so it was different. But I think a lot of people got to see him and were like, whoa, especially when he had that dunk early against Houston. Even to me, I mean, he's explosive. He's explosive and young. I'm all about Cooper Flagg right now, and I want my Philadelphia 76ers wearing the hat right now. I want them to win this lottery and bring another Cooper to Philadelphia.
Oh, boy. 888-710-4ISN. The rest of the show does not want that. Let's just be clear.
Boo.
You've got your Eagles are already the champs. You really need the 76ers now to win the lottery. I mean, has Philadelphia really earned that, I ask you? Here's the question.
It's called a lottery. You don't earn a lottery. It's
sure.
It's random luck, Maggie.
You just said freeze the envelope. Here's a question. Is this going to stay with Cooper Flagg into his NBA career? Again, guys lose in the NCAA tournament. They do. I mean, we watched an all-time heartbreaker, Derrick Rose, Memphis. Oh, my goodness. It doesn't get any worse than that. I mean, Memphis against Kansas is an all-time amazing championship game where the script got completely flipped around.
But
Mario Chalmers with the shot, and history is different. And Derrick Rose, without won an MVP and without the injuries, would have had this amazing career, would not have stayed with him. I don't know.
Stayed with him. Wasn't he good in that game? I can't remember.
He was great.
He missed some free throws though. He missed the big free throws.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think that anything. He took Memphis to the
John
final
Calipari.
game. Yeah, I know, but generally,
that Memphis team was loaded.
That was still that nobody looks at it said as a detriment. Derrick Rose's college career, even losing that game, that would be someone hit a buzzer beater. What are you supposed to do about that?
Well, I'm just wondering if this is going to stay with Cooper Flagg into the NBA, because now you can't say he's coming to the NBA as a winner.
But this generally, look at all the MVP candidates and the leading scorers. None of them did anything in the NCAA tournament.
Most of them came from Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Shea Gilgeous-Alexander did nothing. Anthony Edwards did nothing. Tatum was a disappointment. Durant lost. Durant, was he hurt? Did he even play in the tournament?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, Booker did nothing. Cade Cunningham did nothing. Damian Lillard.
They didn't make the tournament.
Weber State.
Yeah. So obviously.
But Giannis, Jokic, these guys.
I just did the top 10 scores, and none of them even did anything in the tournament. Jason Tatum made the Sweet 16, did he?
I think he got knocked out of the second round, I thought.
Yeah, generally there's clearly no correlation between being awesome in the NBA and NCAA tournaments. Just not in the modern era.
I'm not saying that he won't be awesome. I'm asking if it's going to follow him. Chris Webber got in the Hall of Fame with one of the biggest blunders in the history of sports.
I think Cooper Flagg's going to have a lot of hype around the draft.
Well, of course he is. I mean,
can we not
I think
ignore
it's a little more muted now. If he had won the national title and then you're like, whoa, and then he's the number one overall pick, that's something we just haven't seen.
I do think there's
since
going to be
Anthony Davis.
I think there's going to be a white superstar effect of Cooper Flagg. I think in the NBA to ignore that would be kind of. I think he's going to get a lot of hype. That's all I will say.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to deny that, and the Duke factor, all
and
of it
he came
plays.
From Duke. Zion got a lot of hype coming out of Duke.
All of it plays in. I'm asking if this collapse is going to stay with them, because I'll tell you this: it's going to stay with Shedeur. Now, Shedeur doesn't move on to the NBA like Flagg and get a whole new team and a whole new teammates. But, Shedeur now has to pick up the pieces here. A loss last year to NC State. Now it's a collapse against Houston. And forgive me because it happened an hour or so ago in the chat. I forgot who said this. It said John Shedeur skipped the line and it showed. That's damning. Now, I don't know if I could go that far. I think Shedeur, we've been blowing smoke for the last 2 weeks. I can't say now all of a sudden he sucks, but he was not good in this game. And Calvin Sampson, who granted is 30 years older than him thereabouts, coached the pants off him in the last 10 minutes of that game. That's it. That's the truth. So he's going to have the harder time, I think,
But Calvin Sampson had 23-year-olds and John Shedeur had 18-year-olds.
They were the odds-on favorite.
I understand, but that's
they
a
didn't come
mistake.
in as David here against Houston's Goliath. It was the other way around.
Well, I'm just saying he had a bunch of young. And by the way, and his old guys panicked too. Tyrese Proctor.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Zion James
could get the ball in bounds.
He's 22, 23 years old.
I just think that Calvin Sampson had a natural advantage because his guys. I mean, we said LJ Cryer had already been in a national title game 5 years ago.
Yeah.
There was a lot going. And that being said, this was a bit fluky. No, was there a fluke element to this?
I don't think so, because Houston's defense is not fluky. And by the way,
as Andy Katz just said, they got a little luck. The fact that guy hit the free throws, the fact that they called that on Flagg, it was a little fluky.
The over the back call was bad, but here's the thing. People still don't believe in Houston. They opened as a 1.5-point favorite, and the public bet Florida -1. They bet it all the way to the other side. Now, it wasn't like a 7-point swing, but you get what I'm saying. There's still a doubt on Houston. And by the way, Houston and San Antonio are 3 hours away from each other or thereabouts. Who do you think all these Duke and Auburn fans are going to be selling their tickets to? Probably not people in Gainesville who would have to get on a flight as opposed to now half of Houston is going to be taken off of work today to go watch the national title game. This could be like a home game for Houston.
Yeah, to me, there's no logic of how Florida has gotten here necessarily because they probably should have lost twice in this tournament already. But they're just like Houston. They're unbelievably good in the last 10 minutes of a game. And I think part of that is Walton Clayton so clutch. This game, I actually am leaning Florida. If Duke had won this game, then my bracket would have been top 10. Kaplan would have won the whole thing, I think. But possibly. He has Florida. But I had Florida beating Duke. I was moving up. So I was I hate Duke, but I was a little crushed by that.
It's all about Perloff's bracket.
Yeah, I mean, you guys ever have that where I actually filled out Duke out of spite, and then I was spite tweeting Duke. I'm like, Duke looks unstoppable. Let's just resign ourselves to them winning.
The amount of mind games that you go through watching a game, like I can't even get there.
But everybody knows that basically your approach to the game determines the outcome. Where you stand, whether you go to the kitchen and
Yeah. You don't listen to the sound, right?
Oh, I can't. It's too stressful. Whatever. You determine what you eat based on how the Bills are doing.
Definitely. And the treadmill. You forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I could use a little more treadmill. I wish the Bills season would start tomorrow.
Go Bills.
Let's get to the movie sequel bracket. By the way, if you want to call in on Duke, 888-710-4ISN. Give you the number. All right, guys. We're not just down to the championship game for men's college hoops. We're down to the championship game for the Maggie and Perloff movie sequel bracket, and we are chalkity chalk. The number one seeds that are going to be facing off in the championship. First up, Godfather 2.
I've learned that I have the strength to change. And you'll forget about this miscarriage, and we'll have another child, and we'll go on. You and I. We'll go on.
Oh, Michael. Michael, you are blind. It wasn't a miscarriage. It was an abortion. An abortion, Michael. Just like our marriage is an abortion. Something that's unholy and evil.
Wow.
Just unbelievable there.
That's something you want to tell the Godfather.
That was a gut-wrenching scene. They're all good. That's why it's in the running for the greatest movie sequel of all time. So The Godfather 2 squares off in the championship game against Star Wars Empire Strikes Back.
What about you need?
I know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Probably do.
And what precisely am I supposed to know?
Come on. You want me to stay because of the way you feel about me?
Yes. You're a great help to us. You're a natural leader.
No. That's not it. Come on. Come on.
You're imagining things.
Am I? Then why are you following me? Afraid I was going to leave without giving you a goodbye kiss?
I just assumed it's a Wookiee.
I can arrange that. If you's a good kiss.
Wasn't Carrie Fisher, how old was she in Empire Strikes Back? Very young, right?
Probably because she was around a long time.
She's no longer with us, right?
Yeah, she passed away. She was 22 years old.
How old was Harrison Ford? He was probably a little older.
He was older because he didn't get discovered until he was a little bit older.
Yeah, he was in American Graffiti right before that. Was his first role, I think.
All right, guys.
There you go.
Voting is open.
Can we get... I'm sorry, and I begged you to do this at the break. Can we just talk about that list you had? Because I am so mad at you right now, Maggie.
You're really mad.
Because you hate the movie Bohemian Rhapsody about Queen. Do you know that Rami Malek won the Oscar for Best Actor?
Listen,
he beat the best actors in the world. It's not a bad movie. I understand what you're saying, that it's not as critical as it should be. But it was awesome. He got to play at Live Aid. The Queen movie is good.
Okay.
Me and Jay in Nashville are in sync on this one.
He said I was smoking angel dust, I believe is what Jay said. No, no
he
angel dust.
Angel dust. Not even crack,
No.
angel dust.
I don't know what's stronger, but I'm not on either. So you can have a great individual performance and still be a bad movie. Cooper Flagg could have a good game, and Duke could blow the Final Four. Same. I thought the movie was not good. And here's my general problem. When anyone who's involved, who actually lived the story, is involved in the making of the story, I think it's generally a recipe for bad news. Like the Queen, themselves had a heavy hand in how the story is being
Right.
told. And I don't think you want the dirty laundry really airing out in the way that's compelling.
I thought there was a lot of dirty laundry. Of course, the key is he contracted HIV and was really sad. It was
like
not
2
an
minutes
upbeat
at the
movie.
end, by the way.
Dude was a mess the entire movie. He was a drug addict. He had no friends. He pushed the band away. They had enough in there. And besides, they did the Live Aid stuff at the end. I thought it was good. I'm looking at other biopics. Like the musician always has to sign off. The recent one, Dylan had to sign off on the Timothée Chalamet movie.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I like Walk the Line a lot better. I think 8 Mile was better.
Well,
I thought
8 Mile, by
Selena
the
was
way,
better.
Eminem had a heavy hand in 8 Mile.
Yeah, but it was good. I did like it.
Oh, and Selena. You don't think Selena's family had everything to do with the movie Selena, by the way, which was awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Yeah. No, those are better, but that doesn't mean that you're talking about really, really good movies.
Apparently, there's a really good one about Elvis.
You mean the
Kurt Russell playing Elvis? I've never seen this before. So there you go.
Did you like the Elvis movie? Or I don't know if you saw that one.
I did see it.
I did not because of Tom Hanks. Oh God, was that awful? Sorry.
People did not like him as the.
I liked Austin Butler, but Tom Hanks as the Colonel was hard for me.
You mean Woody from Toy Story?
Tom Hanks is great. This movie was not.
We will not mention the biopics on Tupac or Biggie either.
Notorious made this list. Rolling Stone is a list of the top 30 music biopics of all time, and Notorious slid right in like 28.
Notorious is very hit or miss. There's some good, a lot of cringe.
You know what was a top 5 for them?
Give us
top
give
6.
us a few
Straight
on
out
this
of Compton.
Oh, awesome.
That's a classic.
The NWA one.
With our buddy O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Yeah, playing his dad. Number 1 on this list is I'm Not There from 2007.
Which is so weird because it's a total art film that I've seen 1,000 times that nobody except me has ever liked. But it's got Kate Blanchett plays Bob Dylan, and it's unbelievable. Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
great.
it's Kate Blanchett, Richard Gere, Heath Ledger, Christian Bale. They all portray Bob Dylan in different ways.
Yeah, it's a really creative film that is not a biopic. But anyway. 2,
according to their list, is Bird, a movie from 1988 about Charlie Parker, the jazz legend.
Was that Forrest Whitaker?
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
And it was Clint Eastwood as the director. This Elvis movie in 1979.
Don't know that one.
A
That's
John
cool.
Carpenter made-for-TV movie. Apparently is really good about Elvis.
Okay.
Sid and Nancy is number 4.
Yep. Gary
And
Oldman.
5 is the Buddy Holly story. So there you go.
Which is, I actually
Gary Busey.
recently watched. Don't ask me why. I watched it on YouTube because I'm fascinated with Buddy Holly. Kind of invented rock and roll. But that's an old one. Yeah, it's Straight Outta Compton. That was fun. Now, Rocket Man is an interesting one. Elton John, people did not like that.
Didn't make the list.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm a sucker. But EJ, you said another rock biopic getting nominated for an Oscar. It is kind of a formula.
Definitely. I'm not mad at it because they have their stuff and it's cool, but there's other movies that should also get that same respect. That's all I'm saying.
I got to go in La Bamba with Lou Diamond Phillips.
Great movie. He's Richie Valens or
Richie Valens. In part because the song is so awesome. Like, who doesn't like that?
888-710-4ISN. Okay, on Mondays, we do the M&P 500. Whose stock is up and whose stock is down after a big weekend? We get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Getting closer, going faster.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff show. Perloff was supposed to say that part, but you're on your phone again. I'm sorry. Are you distracted? There's a show going on.
People are sending us on social media Cooper Flagg NBA comparisons. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Well, I hope when you are looking at your phone like that, at least today we're in the studio. When you're driving your car and driving your daughters around, I hope you're not glued to the phone like you are right now.
Oh, absolutely. Even with a topic like that, which I'm dying to find out in the car, it's a different story.
Yeah, I hope that you put the phone down when you're in the car because this stuff is serious.
Absolutely. And I know you were really good with that because every time we're on a production call, you're like, well, I have to get in the car. I can't continue this now. You're very, very disciplined, which we appreciate. Of course, using your phone while driving could kill someone. Put the phone away or paid for by NHTSA. By the way, if you want to hear some of those, I could share.
All
Scotty
right.
Barnes.
Give us your
Scotty
comps.
Barnes is a player comp for Cooper Flagg.
That's interesting.
That's actually kind of a good one.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Van Horn we got two of those now. Then there's just some random white guys. Steve Mix, former 76er. I think that was 6'8" white guy. They had nothing in common with Cooper Flagg other than that.
Couldn't think Bobby Jones, a guy a little more well-known.
What's that?
Couldn't go a little more well-known, Bobby Jones.
I mean, yeah, there's 100 other white guys.
Steve Mix could had a good jump shot. Bobby Jones was not a good offensive player. Anyway, that's just my take. Yeah.
Keep them coming.
Keep them coming. I swear I will pay attention to the show now. The phone is away.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Let's get to the MNP 500.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, we do this every Monday. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down after a big weekend? Pearl, start us off.
Well, I think, there's a lot, arguably, that happened this weekend. Basketball, of course. There was a Colorado Pro Day. But I think everyone knows what the lead story off this weekend was. A certain team beat an undefeated Dodgers. Go Phillies. Phillies take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. This is a huge accomplishment. You guys are sleeping on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Dodgers couldn't be beat, you said, Maggie, and they beat them. God, it's gotten to the point where they win on Friday, and I had to hold back to not text all of you guys saying, told you, because let's face it, the Phillies are it right now.
I love these April series. These are really the ones that count.
But beating the Dodgers right now in baseball is something special because they're so good, although they had more injuries. And Shohei didn't do anything.
Yeah, how about Blake Snell now on the IL? So that's a little stock down or stock medium. You can't even tell these days.
EJ made me laugh, though, saying, how did I root? Was I crushed by my Dodgers losing?
Yeah, how do you root against your favorite team?
Don't worry. They'll get Clayton Kershaw back very soon.
Meanwhile, Atlanta Braves 1-8 now. We talked about whether or not they'd be able to come back from this.
That's something
to all my ops.
All the Mets and Phillies fans can agree on. The Braves losing is a little bit like Duke losing.
Yeah, does everyone celebrate? Maybe.
Definitely. No, I don't think it's not quite the same.
National League Duke.
Braves, and that's a sign of respect for the Braves, by the way. It's not because we just hate the Braves. They're just, they never go away.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Michael Myers, they can't be killed. My stock up has to go to Vlad Guerrero Jr., so I'll stay with baseball. Who says you can't negotiate? These deadlines means absolutely nothing. Vlad said, I'm not going to negotiate in the season. And the team said, how about $500 million? And he said, where do I sign? So that's going to keep him in Toronto. And to be fair, this is really big for Toronto because they've been striking out on some of these bigger free agents. Remember, they were in on Shohei. They weren't able to get him. I don't know if they ever really had a chance with Shohei. Same thing with Juan Soto. I don't know if they ever had a chance. But meanwhile, Pete Alonso, same. They're homegrown guy. They keep Vlad Guerrero Jr., born in Canada because Vlad Sr. was playing there, and now he's going to be a Blue Jay for forever. So that's really cool. Stock up for the Blue Jays and for Vlad.
Okay, I'll do a stock down. Playoff seeding. I don't know if you guys read this. The NFL does want officially to change their playoff seeding, but I read why this weekend. It's because Roger Goodell wants to increase the ratings by messing with the playoff ratings. Immediately, I'm sorry, when I read kind of behind the scenes, it's not about competitive balance or anything. It's about Goodell wanting better ratings.
How do they get better ratings? The ratings are already amazing. What more can they do?
Well, because they're trying to sell everything to somebody. So it just felt like, oh, God, it's not even competitive. It's getting a new package for some multimedia company. Just like the Christmas games.
Yep.
They're trying to, now I heard, group all the Christmas games together and sell them to Amazon or something. I don't know. The whole thing just felt so seedy to me. Apparently, Roger Goodell's pushing two things. He really wants the tush-push gone, and he wants the playoffs to be reseeded. And it's all about ratings.
Why does he want the tush-push gone?
I think he thinks it's aesthetically an ugly play, and I think he thinks it slows down the game. So anything that helps the TV product. Because, again, he's trying to do another record deal with a tech company. So I think that's why. That's my opinion, but boo, Roger Goodell. Boo.
Perloff going to go to Green Bay just to boo him. Meanwhile, your team is, reigning Super Bowl champs. Life is good. This is as good as it gets.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, that's tradition. I would love to boo Roger Goodell. And actually, I don't even think he minds at this point, right?
I don't know. My stock down, Pittsburgh Pirates. I know they're going to make it right now, but this is an all-time blunder here by the organization where they've had the Roberto Clemente number 21 has been in the outfield, the logo, since 2022, I guess they put it out there. It's been on the right field wall. and number 21, excuse me, since 2022. And they, I guess in what they're alleging was an oversight, they took it down and put up an advertisement for Surfside Vodka.
I mean, sorry, I'm just laughing at what an idiotic sponsor that is.
It's just, it could have been anything.
They didn't let anybody know.
Didn't let anybody know, didn't say anything. The Clemente's family was completely blindsided by this. And, you know, he's one of the greatest parts of your franchise. And legendary, iconic, gone too soon. I mean, all the things you say about Roberto Clemente embodied everything that we hope to be as humans, let alone a baseball player. And the fact they covered up his logo with a advertisement for vodka, or anything for that matter, is shameful. They are making it right, though, but still, they get a big stock down.
Absolutely. That is not good. Do we have time for one more round of stock up?
Go ahead.
I'm going to steal it from you because I think you were into it too. The Elijah Martin dunk.
No, man.
My favorite part is if you look at the stills, the images of them, there's like 10 feet between him and the ground when that guy gets up. I don't know if he's an NBA prospect or anything. He sure looks explosive to me, but man, those dunks were amazing. And I'm a big dunk guy, so you knew I enjoyed it.
You know, one type of dunk that's underrated is when you think the guy's going for the layup, and then the last second, like the turbo boosters kick in, and then they just throw down a dunk. That it's like the unexpected dunk, and it was just so violent.
Yeah, I relate to that as a player.
I'm sure you do. Let's hear it. No, we don't hear it. Oh, you looked at me like, yes. I thought maybe we had the highlight. Anyway, we get back to me. Stock up. I mean, does it have to be Paige Beckers? After not fulfilling the promise of winning a championship, where she was one of the great players coming out of high school, and the next thing for UConn, injuries and some other things. She kept getting to the Final Four, but she wasn't able to break through. Finally breaks through, and not just that, but dominating fashion against South Carolina. It was her, it was Sarah Strong, and it was Azzi Fudd. But really, this was a Paige Beckers, again, fulfilling her destiny. So stock up for Paige. Couldn't get any higher, but
I'll do actually one more literal stock down. It feels like Shedeur Sanders' quarterback stock briefly went up on Friday, and now it seems by Sunday, when all the insiders got on it, that it's gone down a little bit. It feels like Shedeur is not a favorite to go in the top three. I'm just getting that vibe only based on watching guys like Jeremy Fowler and Adam Schefter and on the telecast, that it feels like the Giants either they're putting out a smokescreen or would be content not taking Shedeur Sanders. So that's literally a stock down.
Literally, and we've got a couple weeks to go before
not
the
too
draft.
far down, but
well, we'll see. How far does he fall? Okay, last one from me. Do you guys remember Fire Festival? We've been talking about music biopics. This was an incredible documentary about a festival that was a big farce. It was a big scam. And the guy who was creating the festival, Billy McFarland, ended up going to jail because of how many people he ripped off. Okay, he's out of jail. And he is, of course, creating Fire Festival 2. Well, over the weekend, it's supposed to happen in Playa del Carmen, New Mexico. And over the weekend, Mexican officials said that this isn't happening. So it looks like history repeating itself, that this whole thing is going to be a scam yet again. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, if you haven't seen the story, I'm going to give you all a guess. The creator of the festival is saying not only DJs and rap stars and reggae artists and pop stars, there also are going to be professional athletes who attend the festival.
Right.
And one Super Bowl champion is scheduled to appear.
Current Super Bowl champion?
What do you mean current?
Like
someone who won a Super Bowl.
Oh, I thought you meant like the guys who won last.
No.
Not like an eagle.
Not an eagle.
Okay, a Super Bowl champion.
A Super Bowl champion is scheduled to appear at the Fire Festival 2. I'll give you one guess. Everybody gets a guess. Did you look it up?
No.
Okay.
But there's so many. That's too big.
No, there's not. There's only one.
There's one.
One Super Bowl
Think about
champion.
Scams and like somebody who would get involved in something that's untoward, or that would just, you'd be like, oh,
Bill
right.
Belichick.
I mean, see, I was going for goofy party boy. My guess is Gronk.
That was my guess in the break.
Oh, funny. If you say scam, Brett Favre and Antonio Brown jumped in my mind.
Oh, my goodness.
But Antonio Brown never won
My
one.
bonus guess is
Wait, did
Lawrence
Antonio
Taylor.
Brown did win one? What?
Lawrence Taylor is my guess.
Oh, God. He's
No.
way too old.
No,
scams and being involved in weird stuff.
Did
That
Brown
sounds
win
like
one
LT
in
to me.
Tampa Bay? He did, right? He was there. Was he there, or did he come after the Super Bowl?
All right, well, Perloff, you got it. It's Antonio Brown. Yes, he did win a Super Bowl.
So is that what? Oh,
It is Antonio Brown. He
but
says
yeah.
he's performing at Fire Festival too. And if this isn't the most on brand for a disgraced music festival, why don't we add a disgraced former player? There you
By
go.
the way, I would not call Antonio Brown a Super Bowl champion just because he glommed on with Tampa Bay. The bulk of his career, that's like calling Gary Payton an NBA champion. Close to it.
Well, Gary did win one with the Miami Heat, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. That was a bit of a deceiving. If you had said a crazy athlete, then we all would have gone Antonio Brown.
Mr. Big Chest.
That's how they're billing him. Super
Yeah,
Bowl
I mean,
champ.
listen, I think he was, I hate to say this, was he part of the presidential campaign? I think he was.
Yeah, no, he spoke. He and Le'Veon. Anyway, so there you go. Stock down for all those people, by the way, if that wasn't clear. Bogusch has headlines for us.
We all know
Top
Firefest.
that.
Firefest, of course, because our buddies at Part of My Take do every week. They do what's their Firefest of the week.
Oh, just
So
what's
it's-
the big nothing burger?
Yeah. Fire with a Y. Yes. What's the disaster? What went wrong? But I had no idea they were doing number 2, and it ended up the same way. That's amazing.
According to Mexican officials, this thing is not happening. According to the festival organizer, it is happening. So,
Lo siento, Billy.
who should we trust? This guy's going to end up back in jail, by the way. He can't help himself.
Oh, absolutely. Book that.
Bogues, you're up, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm stuck in this.
You are a music festival guy.
Yeah, not Firefest 1 through 9 I wouldn't go to.
Talk about bad sequels.
What about Mr. Big Chest's performance?
Pass. The NFL
What if he was
offseason-
opening for Dave Matthews?
Yeah, if he opens for Dave, we'll talk. NFL offseason hitting another mile marker today with the Jets, Bears, and Patriots beginning their offseason workout programs. Teams with new head coaches get a head start on the rest of the league with these. The Raiders and Jaguars get rolling tomorrow. The Cowboys and Saints on Monday. Those Raiders expected to release corner Jack Jones after failing to trade him. This will save Vegas $3.4 million towards the cap. Maggie mentioned recently Vlad Guerrero Jr. staying in Toronto. Reportedly, it's a 14-year extension, $500 million. No deferrals, so only Juan Soto has a higher present-day value than Vladdy. The Red Sox hammered the Cardinals 18-7 on Sunday Night Baseball for a doubleheader sweep at Fenway. 6 RBI for Alex Bregman. Boston's won 5 in a row overall, and it is not the Dodgers or the Padres atop the NL West this morning.
So here's Wilmer Flores. And a base hit. And here comes Matos. And this game is over.
If you told me Wilmer Flores was 60, I would believe you. This guy's in the majors for that long. Game-ending RBI single on NBC Sports Bay Area. His Giants a 5-4 win over the Mariners. They've won 7 in a row. They are 8-1 overall, which is why they're ahead of 2-loss LA and 2-loss San Diego in that division. Today's Tigers-Yankees game now starting at 3:10 Eastern. 1 o'clock starts tomorrow and Wednesday because the Detroit nighttime forecast has wind chills in the 20s for the next few days.
That's baseball weather.
They will play in the sunshine, quote unquote.
Yeah, like what's the
instead.
high today?
Yeah.
40?
I want to look that up now.
As we all expected, the Lakers went to OKC yesterday afternoon and crushed the Thunder 126-99. Luka with 30 and 6 assists.
It's very tough to play here, very tough to win, obviously. But, you know, and look at the standings today. It's crazy in the West, so we needed this win badly.
I think this is the stat I saw quickly on TV this morning. The Thunder trailed by 20-plus points for more minutes yesterday than they had cumulative over the entire season.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The Thunder were down by 20-plus points for more game minutes yesterday than the total of all of the games before yesterday.
That's amazing.
That sounds right.
Did they have a game where they were down 20 the whole time and then just turned it on and won it recently? Remember?
I don't know if it was 20, but I know. Yeah, there was a game where they were down. I was like, all right, let's just turn it on.
So that was sarcasm when you meant the Lakers. Of course, we knew this was going to happen.
The beginning, it was sarcasm.
Yeah. I didn't know. I thought maybe half the Thunder was sitting out or something.
No, I checked the box score. They were all playing.
No, everybody played.
Yeah. No, I didn't. Well, I wasn't.
Cool. So
you lost me with that one.
Sorry.
Well,
Sorry, you've been paying attention.
Here's the funny part about this, right? So the Thunder have this all-time team, right?
Yeah.
It's shaping up that way. Like, really, an all-time team by certain metrics.
By wins, yeah.
So if they don't win the title now, is this like a huge disappointment? Because I still think people believe they're unproven and untested and, they haven't been to the finals yet. I don't think they're feeling the type of pressure that most teams who have this kind of record and this kind of success have.
They haven't hit their growing pains yet.
Well, I think that you do have the Celtics looming out there, so that kind of changes it a little bit.
If they get to the finals, I think maybe that some of that dissipates. But if they don't get out of the West, I think some of that starts to.
But all the time, so there's
think about the Warriors with their 73 win
Think about
season.
the Nuggets, right? Like Jokic was winning those MVPs, and for years it was like he's a stat pad, or they're not really winning.
Yeah,
and it
Same
was
with Giannis.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems to be the way it goes. Yeah, I
But
feel
I don't
like
think
some
the
of
Thunder are getting that kind of pressure. I think they're getting a lot of praise.
I think to Manny's point, they're so young. Like, they're younger than both the Nuggets and the Bucks were. Like, I mean, some of these guys, Chet Holmgren's like 21, like Jalen Williams is like 22. Like, these are
But Shea's going to win MVP.
right. But he's a young player. He's not even 25 or 26, I think, right? Yeah.
who
So,
knows?
like, it's such a young team.
Younger
I think
than
some
me.
people are expecting that when the playoffs come, they may slip up.
They're the favorites over the Celtics, but barely. Plus 160, and Celtics are plus 215. Also, some of these teams in the West, we were talking about, like, they've been, I don't want to say playing possum, but there are a lot of teams that are way better than their win record. Like, you honestly think, like, the T-Wolves are a 46 win. There are a lot of teams who haven't played anybody. I don't know.
But
I think
aren't
the
we
West
in
is going to be brutal.
Yeah, but aren't we also in the part of the year where you have to kind of stop making those arguments? Like, if they were better than that, why aren't they better than that?
Well, that's the whole, could they flip the switch in the playoffs and
Well,
become
T-Wolves
dangerous
are hot,
like
right?
the Miami Heat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, T-Wolves are the team, right? They're surging a bit, aren't they? Now
T-Wolves
they were on
playing
and
well.
off, and now they're hot again, I thought.
You guys are sleeping on what the really big story is for
The
this
Knicks?
week in the NBA. No,
Thank you,
I'm
folks.
good.
Yes. No. What?
I'm good.
Geez, I have no idea where you're going.
Me neither.
Luka goes back to Dallas this week, guys. Come on.
Dallas they're already dead. To quote Homer Simpson in the Krusty, he's already
Hey,
dead.
they might make the playoffs. We joking. They're the
But
last playing
guys,
team right now.
The emotion of it, is Nico going to be there? Like he went to the Mavs Laker game?
If he was
Sat
smart,
courtside?
he would not show his face.
No, don't do that.
That storyline
Guys, I
kind
think
of
he
died.
has to show up and do it. I think Nico Harrison, the GM who traded away Luka Doncic, one of the most unpopular moves in the history of sports, he's got to show up.
Did you see the way that the Pirates fans treated the owner of the
did see
team?
that.
I mean, it's gonna be worse with Nico.
Well, you're covering up the Roberto Clemente logo with something for vodka.
Well, I think it goes deeper than that with the Pirates, but I mean,
their payroll is 40 cents.
it's gonna be a similar site.
By the way,
but
they
the
stopped
Pirates-
showing fans on the big screen because they kept showing guys chanting "Fire Nico." So what is going to be when Doncic is actually back in the building?
Well, the Pirates are just cheap. Nico's an idiot, right? Isn't that the
Pirates are idiots too.
Are they? Or are they just trying to save money? What are the idiots? They're just collecting paychecks from MLB.
Oh no, they're idiots in taking off the Clemente number, thinking no one's going to notice. Yeah, for money, I get it, but you got to put it somewhere else.
Perloff just made the Johnny Manziel money sign.
But
Yeah.
Nico
It's
thought
a
he was going
radio
to win
show,
a
for
championship with Anthony Davis.
And they thought no one was going to notice the Roberto Clemente logo being taken off the wall by a beautiful rainbow can of Surfside vodka lemonade.
Delicious.
That is dumb.
Consistent with the Pirates' MO, though.
Yeah.
They're lucky they got Skeens.
For now, but they're not even building around Skeens.
Of course not, Manny. Have you met the Pirates? They never do this.
This is so frustrating.
But they're not going to trade Skeens and be like, we're going to win a title with the new guys we got, even though they're old and injury prone.
No, I can't wait for Skeens to be a Yankee or a Dodger.
Not anything against their fans, but I wish terrible organizations like the Pirates didn't have such beautiful stadiums. They don't deserve it. They got maybe the most beautiful stadium in all of Major League Baseball with
Solely
the
based on
backdrop
their stadium.
and all that stuff. Thank you, Manny. And it's just being wasted. You know how many great playoff games we could have in that atmosphere if they were actually good?
PNC Park, by the way.
So do you guys want a hard salary cap?
No, I want a floor.
Yeah, that's what I want. I
Which
agree
is
with
rather
that.
floor.
Okay.
They're connected. I get it, but I want a floor. I want teams to have to spend money. They were running crazy stats on Yes Network this weekend during these Yankee Pirate games. The Pirates haven't signed a free agent to a multi-year contract since 2016.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I didn't do it, Bogusch.
That's a problem.
Explain it,
Yeah,
Pearl.
Otani's not a problem. That's a
I
problem.
didn't put up the vodka ad.
It's delicious, by the way.
Did
You've
you
been knocking
sign
it.
off on it, though? Did you? No, you
Yeah.
love Roberto Clemente.
At the end of the day, I did not trade Anthony Davis for Anthony Davis and think that this guy
You just want Nico to be able he should be publicly shamed. Like Cersei in
I
Game
can't
of
believe
Thrones.
anybody who even
With clothes
goes to a Mavericks game. I don't understand why anyone in Dallas would root for that team.
We got to take a quick break. 888-710-4ISN. Okay, question for you. Is Duke's collapse going to follow John Shire to the NBA? That's on the table for you. And is Geno Auriemma the greatest college coach of all time? He's got 12 titles now. 888-710-4ISN.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So glad to have you. Again, you can vote right now. The poll is open. Maggie and Perloff movie sequel bracket. We're here. We're at the championship, guys. This is it. And ladies, Godfather 2 against Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. It's a 1 versus a 1, just like tonight with Houston and Florida. And so go and vote now for the greatest movie sequel ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around this Houston-Florida matchup. It's not. It's a very unpredictable game to me. The fact that I was sure Houston had lost, and there's been 3 or 4 times during this tournament where I was sure Florida was out. It's just Walter Clayton is just so clutch. I'm leaning Florida. I'm going to
go with Houston. I'm rolling with Houston in this one. I think they're still being undervalued somehow. How many Dukes do you have to beat to finally get some respect?
I mean, what's the spread? It's
1.
I mean, that's against the way against Florida. I think that's a lot of respect. You don't think that's respect?
Well, they started off as a 1.5 point favorite, and Florida got bet as the favorite now, a 1 point favorite. Let's go to JT, who's in Atlanta. JT, is the loss for Duke going to follow Cooper Flagg to the NBA?
Definitely not, because I think he's going to have a dominant NBA career. I think that he's generational talent, obviously, but it's not like it was his fault. He didn't, dribble it off his foot. He didn't, make a play. We all know that over the back really wasn't it. But I would say, in regards to your point, Maggie, earlier about that Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't know how they don't get it. You can have a great performance and a sucky movie. That one does not determine the other.
Give me another one, JT, off the top of your head. Go.
I think
listen, I don't have an example of one, but I'm just telling you, just because one performance is good doesn't necessarily make the movie good. You can act, but not the plot could still fall short. And I think that's what Maggie's saying in regards to that. And I hate that this is the finals as far as this Empire and because those are 2 of my favorite movies, and I just have no idea who to vote for.
Who to vote for? Get your burners out. Yeah, that's our final in our movie sequel bracket. JT, thanks for calling in. It's a Godfather 2 against Empire Strikes Back. Then we got into a biopic, musical biopic conversation. I forgot even how we did that. I don't like Bohemian Rhapsody. Perloff likes it. I'll give you another one where the acting performance was good, but the movie was not good, is a movie, that Elvis movie, where the guy who played Elvis was great, but you said you hated Tom Hanks as the Colonel and didn't really love the movie overall, but we all know that Elvis, what's that guy's name?
Austin Butler.
That he was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. If JT had made that, it would have been even better because he was. But generally, though, I'm just saying, if you have a movie with the best actor, it can't be that awful because the actor's on screen for 90% of the movie in a biopic. I generally think that's a sign of strength to have the best actor. By the way, I'm looking at some best actors. There are not a lot of bad movies on here. Daniel Day-Lewis's Lincoln. I don't remember that movie at all.
Oh, that came out not that long ago.
It was 2012. Yeah, generally, if you have a best actor, then it's probably a pretty good movie. Would you give me that at least?
Empire Strikes Back is leading here. Early voting, early returns are in.
Yeah.
Curious if you're surprised by that at all.
Well, I mean, it's Empire Strikes Back. Talking about one of the all-time. It's an all-time sequel too, because a lot of people think it's better than Star Wars.
It is awesome. Also, did you like the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? 68% of you are saying yes. All right, I guess I'm taking the L on this.
Well, it's got a pretty good Rotten Tomatoes. It was a popular movie.
I thought it stunk.
Stunk? Because it wasn't realistic enough? Who even knows the real story of Queen?
All I know is they had a lot of hits. Thank you to EJ Stewart, and that is your Captain Obvious moment of the day. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez.
The question is, how will Houston and Florida do under pressure? Bum, 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 bum.
Pretty good.